Oh, my bad. What is up? Welcome back. Another HN Watch Party presented by the Hoosier Network. And, of course, our good friends at – let's show them, Max.
Oh, my God.
Our good friends at Pizza X. Look at that. We have the breadsticks, the pizza. We'll explain why that's important in a little bit.
I've not had any food today.
Yeah, no.
I'm really, really, really excited.
I'm Griffin Gonzalez. Beside me, as usual, Max Resick T-Winkle. Guys, we are so happy to have you for what's going to be
point this out. After Miller Kopp sinks that first three.
That's a breadstick.
That's a breadstick.
That's a breadstick.
That's time.
Every three, Max and I will be eating a breadstick. So courtesy of Pizza X. Oh.
So Mike Woodson's on screen right now, not in a suit. So we decided to take it into our own hands. We're in half suits.
We're in half suits.
Half sweats.
We figured he wouldn't be in the suit. So we're like, okay, if Mike's not wearing a suit, we will step up and wear one because we're still in Bloomington. And then also we're wearing sweatpants and tennis shoes just because we're in college. You only see the top of our heads, and this is way more casual.
Absolutely.
Well, anyway.
Hoosiers up to a 3-0 early lead.
That's big time. And they're the dog wants the breadstick, guys. Yes, dogs even love Pizza X. This is not for you. Can't make this up.
3 on, and we're tied up. So, what?
Sorry.
Why are you laughing? What did I do? I'm still eating.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the fact the dog's in the middle of the camera right now. The dog is stealing the show. Anyway.
That breadstick was good.
Really good. So here's the deal, guys. Pizza X got us the setup tonight. They're sponsoring tonight's broadcast, and here's how it's going to work. Every 3 Indiana makes, we're eating a breadstick. Every forced turnover, though, we're taking a bite of this delicious sausage and pepperoni pizza. What? You got giggles today, dude.
That reminded me. You know that commercial where it's like the buttery, flaky, crispy crust. The crispy, buttery, flaky crust. Is that
how you describe Pizza X?
No, it's a commercial. But you're like this delicious Pizza X. And it is going to be delicious.
All right, I'm bringing out the betting board because we like to do a little live bets here. Now,
Jack's making noise.
This is the best defense in the Big Ten versus the best offense in the Big Ten. I'm not sure if I realized that pregame, but that's certainly an interesting stat to look at as Indiana and Iowa getting about it early here. Now, the betting odds pregame, it had Iowa minus 4.5. Now, here's how we're going to play the betting game, everybody. Okay, so Max and I, we have 5 bets here that we picked pregame. Max and I are going to go through one by one at a time, and pick which bets we like for today's ball game, Indiana versus Iowa. Whoever wins 3 out of those 5 bets, we can't pick the same. We have to pick opposite. Whoever wins the best 3 out of 5 wins the betting game, and we haven't really decided what the punishment's going to be, but it might be stand-up comedy. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Who's to say?
All right, so Max, let's start this off. I'll let you have the first pick because I'm a gentleman. Okay.
Aww.
So Iowa minus 4.5. How you feeling about that?
I'm taking the Hoosiers. They're up 7-4 right now. Why not?
Okay, so you're going with Indiana.
Go big or go home.
Plus 4.5. I'll take Iowa.
All right.
So Max is taking that one. All right. Iowa, money line. Here's the money line here. You got Iowa minus 196 odds or IU plus 162.
It's your turn, man.
That's true. Good job. Thank you. I'm gonna go Iowa money line. Here go Iowa money line because I'm playing checkers over here, and you'll see why. But we'll talk about that later. Over under 150.5. You going the over under, Max?
I'm going
150.5.
I'm going the over. The last
think more?
game.
There's a lot of points scored.
Last game, there was not over 150. The previous few, I was looking at their scoring history. They hit way over 150. So history repeats itself.
That's a good point.
And I could totally be wrong on that.
So you're going over.
Over, absolutely.
Okay. Max going over. Okay. I'll see how it is. Keegan Murray, star player for Iowa. He's been having a fantastic season so far. If you haven't been watching, he's been awesome to watch. Over under 24.5 points tonight. I'm going under. I think IU locks him down. I'm going the under.
Well, I guess I have to take the over then.
Yeah, you have to take the over. Have fun with that.
There we go.
All right, so final one. Max, this one's going to you. TJD total points. Over under 20.5 tonight. Over under 20.5 points for TJD.
You know what? I'm going to give you – does he have any – I'm looking at stats right now. He doesn't.
He has
2 right now.
He has 2 now.
So,
he has to have 20.
You know what? I'm going to give you an exact number.
He has to have 21.
26 tonight.
You think he's going to have 26?
I do.
Really?
And when I'm correct, when I have it right exactly on, everyone's just going to be like, wow, you're a wizard. I know. What can I say?
Okay, so you're going over?
I am.
Over. Okay.
26.
All right, so
precise.
Max is going the over on TJD points with 26 tonight. I have him taking the under. Keegan Murray, I have him going under 24.5 tonight. I think IU locks him down. He's got 4 already. That's not looking great for me. Max taking the over on total points at 150.5. Iowa money line for myself, and Max has Indiana plus 4.5. Excuse me, I misspoke. But anyway, going back to the game here. So far, Iowa hot shooting from 3, and that's not going to spell well for any. Is it just me, or do you just feel like Iowa's always that team that's just always has 3 and D guys?
I mean,
every year.
Really? I feel like they're a good, strong, like down low team.
Really? I mean, you had Garza for 4 years, but before that, who'd you have? I mean, I think it's not like crazy down low, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just how you guys feel. Hey, we want you guys to interact with us. Go ahead, tweet at us. We're going to have some trivia later on tonight for fans to participate in. You can go ahead and answer a trivia game. We have some prizes for you to hand too, including a $25 gift card courtesy of Pizza X. So be sure to try and get your trivia answer right. We're going to try to make it as hard as possible for the trivia. We don't want to give away free Pizza X.
No,
we want to make you earn it.
You got to earn it. Yeah, you got to work for it. Tweet at us. Let us know. Also, let us know your thoughts on the game. Give us some hot takes, things to talk about, whatever you want.
Absolutely.
We're here to talk. This is a watch party.
Now, I kind of want to watch Indiana's possession here.
I do.
Because Parker Stewart jacking up a 3 there, no good. I feel like this is where I feel like they're taking better care of the ball, but I just feel like this offense as a whole, I feel like there's a lot to be left desired here. I don't know. Well, we got a special show for you. We got lots of guests coming on today. Jared Morris from the one and only Assembly Call podcast is going to be joining us with 8 minutes to go in the first half. And then a little bit later at halftime, Victor Becerra, recent signee with the Chicago Fire, will be hopping on to talk to us about his recent signing with his hometown team. And then in the second half, we got even larger groups for you. We got a big second half show, including a few more special guests, and it will be fun to see who hops on. It's always a surprise here at the
Who knows? Who really knows?
Who really knows? I mean, we know.
I know.
Because we scheduled them.
Or maybe I forgot.
Did you already forget?
Maybe.
Are we going to have Velveeta bold moments tonight?
Oh,
as we have our first commercial break?
I have got a long list of Velveeta bold moments. Let me just tell you that.
As we're on, should that be our thing during commercial breaks? Should we have Velveeta bold moments?
We can do that. What? Did you give a Velveeta bold moment last time?
I think I did.
Are you sure?
I'll tell you what's a Velveeta bold moment. Did you watch that? Did you watch that last IU game against Minnesota?
Yeah.
Velveeta bold moment.
Uh-huh.
All 9 of Xavier Johnson's shots.
Did I?
All of them. All bold.
They were all bold.
All bold. All of them, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, but that's not a Velveeta bold moment involving you.
How's that not?
That's cheating.
How is that not a Velveeta bold moment?
My Velveeta bold moment was cleaning up my cat's accident.
I don't think that's really relevant into this topic. But
last time when
producer Jack thinks it is. Shout out to producer Jack.
Producer Jack.
He is with us. We're having fun with producer Jack today. But anyway, looking at the early stats here, Indiana tied with Iowa 9-9, 15:50 to go here in this first half. We're just getting started. Welcome to the watch party, everybody. Miller Kopp, 3 points from him off an early 3. He's been hit and miss this year. I'd love to see a little bit more out of him. Let's see. TJD with 2. You still feeling good with that over 26?
26, baby. I'm not backing down.
Yeah. I mean,
the one thing I will say really quick, just when you brought in producer Jack, as he's trying to currently knotted up trying to deal with the dog. Really wants to be on the live show. Oakley might need to come on later. Don't you dare take a bite of that breadstick until they make it.
I'm just really hungry, bro.
I have not had food all day, and I have had the restraint. I have looked at these breadsticks, and I really want to take a bite, but I haven't because I haven't made another 3 yet. But what I was going to say is, producer Jack, the live stats right now on the TV are ahead of what's happening on our projector. So, sorry.
You can don't blame me. Blame YouTube TV.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, like, I already know what happens because the live stats are like, hey, here's what happened, you know?
Yeah, fair.
You know?
Well, here's the deal. As we were saying earlier, the dog is just absolutely photobombing me right now.
Just hanging out. Oakley, look at the camera.
Oakley, yeah, dude.
Look at the camera.
Main character vibes for Oakley here. So here's the deal. The way this is going to work is every 3 made by Indiana is going to be a breadstick, but every forced turnover is also going to be a bite of pizza, which we must have missed one while we were chatting away about Indiana.
Really?
Basketball. There's 1 turnover for Iowa, so I'll go ahead and take a bite.
Oh, my.
I believe this is sausage and pepperoni. We'll get it up close to the camera so you can see. Look at that. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Does this counts as a bite, right? If I just...
I don't think that...
Well,
did you really just do that on live social media television?
Hungry.
TJD at the line now. He's looked solid from the line this year. Don't you think?
I do.
Hey, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your thoughts on Indiana basketball. TJD, Mike Woodson. Whether Mike Woodson looks better in sweats or in a suit, I'm curious your thoughts.
Oh, my God.
Go ahead. Tweet at us at the Hoosier Network. We'll be buzzing them. We'll be putting up our favorite ones up here.
Excuse me.
So please let us know what you think.
I just had a revelation.
Oh, did they? No, that was a mistake. Yeah.
I have a revelation. Is what we're wearing right now called a sweatsuit?
Oh.
What? You know?
That's genius.
Because a sweatsuit is a thing, but...
Oh, my goodness.
Trace Jackson Davis slam. I'm literally in a sweatsuit right now.
Can we have a bite of pizza for that? I feel like that was... All right. Bite of pizza, curse your pizza X.
Listen.
It wasn't a forced turnover, but it was a highlight play. How about forced turnovers and highlight plays? We're going to change the rules so we
anything so I can have more pizza. And you know what this pizza slice was? A 2-biter.
Keegan Murray
No,
was
it's
6.
not going to be a 2-biter.
So I'm curious to talk to our guest today, specifically Jared Morris, and then, of course, the second half guys. Another guy we're going to be talking to, Scott Agnes of the Indiana Pacers. We're going to be talking to him about exactly what the transition is like. You know, Mike Woodson talked in his presser earlier this week kind of about how some of the Big Ten refs have come up to him and said, this isn't the NBA anymore, pal. You know, you can't be – we're not going to call that, or we are going to call that. And we're going to talk to Scott exactly about what that transition has looked like, X's and O's wise, but also kind of
Pizza
mentally
X's and
standpoint.
O's. Sorry.
Pizza X's and O's. Yes, thank you. Pizza X's and O's. Good one there.
There are going to be a lot of those tonight.
There are
just
gonna be a
giving
lot
you
of
a
those.
warning. I'm going to make a lot of really bad puns.
Pizza X's and O's, and then also just the mentality of coming from the NBA, going to college, the difference in just mental toughness that's required. And then finally, the real thing we want to talk to Scott Agnes about is he watches NBA guys all day. He watches a lot of young guys. Where does he think TJD fits in? Is TJD ready? We're going to talk to him about that in a minute. Too bad we're not doing breadsticks for Iowa threes because they're hitting them early. 3 of 4 so far.
I would have
game day.
3 half breadsticks.
Yeah, we would. We absolutely
Which I wouldn't
have 3 half
complain
breadsticks.
about. X almost shot a 3. And X
He
did
wants
shoot
to
a 3,
shoot 3.
and he missed. But
Pizza X as in
no,
Pizza
only
X.
when he makes it. Only when he makes it. I'm saving that pun for when he makes it.
Okay.
You didn't hear anything.
You didn't
I'm
hear
saving that.
You guys didn't hear anything.
It's such a good line.
Oh, Max, if you were Mike Woodson and you had to give one guy more playing time, who would it be? Significantly more playing time.
That's a great question.
Maybe like starter.
Like move them from starting
Bench to starter.
Wow. Well, I would say Tamar Bates has had a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I would say give him a shot. Corner 3, Miller Cop, breadstick.
Parker.
You know what that is.
Miller Cop.
Miller Cop.
Miller Cop.
Thanks for the breadstick, Miller.
I'm hungry. You know what Pizza X does a really good job of?
What?
So often you go to breadstick places.
Uh-huh.
Breadsticks dry, no flavor. You need the sauce to make the breadstick. This
do.
is the only breadstick in the world I would eat dry. It's the only breadstick in the world.
There you go.
It's like they get a little salt on it, so you get that sodium.
It's just a little touch.
Just like Salt Bay. Just like, the guy sitting back there.
So whenever I see something that's sponsored, I'm always, okay.
Sorry, quick question.
What?
Because they're showing him on the screen.
Okay.
Is it just me or is it Jordan Bohannon? Who's played college basketball? Like, isn't it weird to think about, like, Jordan Bohannon played against Steve Alford?
Wait.
Like, it's so weird. Jordan Bohannon played against Mike Woodson when Mike Woodson was still playing in Indiana. It's crazy to me. Oh, Rob, great dish. Geronimo, 3? Wow.
Breadstick.
Wow,
I'm still having done with the first one.
We're going to be out of breadsticks by halftime at this
We
rate.
might need to send producer Jack breadsticks.
Yeah, Jack, can you call Pizza X and get them delivered? If
That was like
you
a
call
little-
now, it will take like 5 minutes.
That was like a little Italian. You were like, can we call it a pizza X over? Not
Yeah,
Italian.
they're
That's
calling the
not
Pizza
Italian.
X, no?
That's a breadstick.
Look up.
Look up.
No,
Put
TJD, yes.
right there. 26, baby.
And guess what? That's a forced timeout. Indiana up 7.
And you know what? How many points he has now? 8.
Feel that? It's getting hot. I think Mike Woodson knew we wore our suits. I think he knew.
He knew we had our sweatsuits on.
He did. Hey, TJD with a big 8 points early in this one. 3 of 3 shooting, 2 of 2 from the line. Hoosiers lead 23-16, 12 minutes to go. Coming up in just 4 minutes, guess who's coming on? It's going to be Jared Morris of course,
Perfect.
Assembly Call. Excited to talk to him, and I'm sure he's got his takes already lined up. We're going to have a lot of questions for him. He's been covering Indiana basketball for a while, so I love talking to those guys because they bring in a little more, just a little more experience.
And he's another guy. He's been on my phone. I've heard his voice all the time. Listen to the Assembly Call. But now I'm going to get to put a face to the name. I've seen it a few times on like their live shows.
Yeah.
But now I get to know who's talking to me through my phone, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. All right. So I think it's time for a little trivia time.
Okay.
We're doing our first giveaway. Okay, this is the first of 2. It's the smaller one. We have a bigger one coming later. This is for, get this, a free Big X special courtesy of Pizza X. That's the breadsticks, that's the drinks, that's the pizza. Had it last night. Delicious. Loved it. I tried cooking pizza here. Did not go well, so I ordered Pizza X because that's what you do. So here's the trivia question for the day.
I have a question first.
Yeah, what's up?
Am I allowed to win?
No, you're not allowed to win. So here's what we're going to do. Producer Jack is going to tweet out this question from @theHoosierNet. If you think you know the answer, you can go in and respond to Producer Jack the answer to that question. Okay, now we're not trying to make it easy. This is a Big X special. We do our Big Ten special. We do not want this to be an easy answer. So, you think they're ready for it?
I think so.
All right, Producer Jack, you're ready. Tweet it. He's going to tweet out the trivia question for this free Big X special. Here it is. Ready?
I'm ready. Dim the lights.
Tonight.
Here we go.
We can't dim the light. We don't have that kind of.
Producer Jack. Well, Producer Jack's busy.
Okay.
Just pretend.
Tonight, Indiana basketball is looking for its 4th straight win against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Currently, they're on a 3-game win streak dating back to last year. When is the last stretch of years that Indiana went 4 wins in a row against the Iowa Hawkeyes? Last stretch of years. So you have to say the season they got their first win and the season they got their 4th win, as far as the year goes. What stretch of years did Indiana win 4 straight against Iowa? The last time they did it. Not the first time, not the middle time. The last time it was done was which stretch of years? So if it started in 1861 and ended in 1864, you would put 1861 through 1864. Now you can reply to that on the Hoosier Network or on the Twitter. We should get an app. On Twitter @theHoosierNet. We'll post that question right now so you guys can respond for a chance to win.
I'm just going to say
special.
I kind of lost you there, but I don't know the answer anyways.
You don't know the answer to it?
No.
Well, lucky for us, I do. Now, in the second half, we're going to have another trivia question for you. That one is for a $25 gift card courtesy of Pizza X. You're going to want that one. Even Oakley wants that one. You hear like growling. Yeah, she wants that.
I want Pizza
Yep,
X.
and here she comes back. Jack, you're doing a great job at producing / dog sitting right now, my man. You're killing it.
What I was going to say,
Yeah, let's hear it.
when I see people get sponsorships, they're always talking so positive. I'm always like, they have to do that. But now this is the first time something I'm doing has been sponsored. And I am so hungry.
Are we influencers?
I'm like, I can't talk negatively about this because I'm so hungry and it's so good. So now I understand how sponsored things work. They're not faking it. It's just good. And yes, we are influencers. I'm going to put that in my Instagram bio.
I don't know anyone who fakes what they like.
Influencer.
You're telling me Shaquille O'Neal doesn't love the general insurance? Guy has to. That's actually a fun fact. Shaquille O'Neal believes in everything he does. That's actually a fun fact.
I'm telling you, he probably doesn't enjoy trying to fit in those really small cars.
No.
Those car commercials.
The general has no issue fitting in cars.
It's like, I'm Shaq, and I'm going to fit in this
turnover.
little Prius.
That's not great. Ooh.
That was a turnover?
Was that a forced turnover?
Was that?
You know what? For the sake of hunger, yes. Cheers.
That doesn't count. That was just a loose pepperoni.
Cheers.
Aww.
Okay, there you go.
I only crust left.
Mm.
I'm going to eat it.
Do you like dipping your crust in sauce when you're done with it?
No, but I'd be open to try. I've never done that before.
What kind of sauce do you think would be best in crust? Guys, can you please tweet at us what sauce? I will tell you, I have a fridge over there full of different sauces.
Whoa.
What sauce is the absolute best to dip breadsticks or pizza crust in?
Do they have pesto sauce? That'd be interesting.
I'm going to be honest with you. Hey, no.
Puppy trying to eat the pizza.
No.
No, puppy. No. Pizza.
Like, where did that even come from, dude? Anyway, Oakley's stealing the show. Okay, Oakley, you got to go. You're about to go in my room. Anyway.
Steal here by Iowa.
I would love an IU steal so I could finish that pizza. Oh, big 3 by Iowa. That's a tough one. Ties it up.
One of the McCaffrey boys.
Where do you think Fran McCaffrey ranks on coaches in the Big Ten? Does he make top 5?
I mean, I feel like what we talked about, when did we talk about this last time? About like Iowa's just a team that's always consistent in basketball. Like I just feel like they're always consistent as they drain another 3 there.
Yeah,
like,
now Indiana forced to call timeouts. We're going to have another one at the 10-minute mark. And just this is kind of the Indiana team. This has been the biggest problem for me with Indiana this year is you see them go through these roller coaster of emotions of really, really good basketball followed by just terrible. And obviously, listen, any basketball coach will tell you basketball is a game of runs. That's how the game works. But that being said, you can't be up 7 and allow a 10-0 run and then expect to win ball games. It's just, you got to be able to make adjustments without calling a timeout and change that momentum. And Iowa just run away with it. And, for Indiana, let's see, Iowa's 5 of 8 for 3-point field goals today, shooting 62% already. You're not going to win basketball that way. Just not.
I'll tell you this. What they're trying to do with all these commercials is get you even more excited and build up the anticipation for assembly call. And Jared, come on. I'm excited, but now we have to wait more.
I'm excited for Jared. So this is actually the first time I've ever talked to Jared. I've listened to Jared for years.
That's what I'm saying. I've listened for so long, and
I've listened to Jared since I was a kid. So I'm excited to hear from Jared.
What should my first question be?
Oh, what should we ask Jared? What's your biggest fear?
What's your Velveeta Bowl moment?
Oh, that should be our first question for everyone.
Every time. Well, I have to explain it every time, too.
Oh, wow. Sabermetric stat of the day. Iowa has 2 sets of siblings on the team. Huh? Only team in college basketball to have 2 sets of siblings on the same team.
Oh, the Murray brothers.
Ooh.
Bill Murray. Not those Murrays.
Do you know the most legendary set of twins to ever play for Indiana basketball?
No.
I think one of them made an All-American team. I'm not going to lie.
I don't.
Oh, gosh. What was their names? Like really early, like 30s, 40s range. Maybe 50s. I think they were on the 53 team.
No. 30s and 40s?
Don't worry. We have our IU media guidebook here. Don't worry. I'll find it.
Harold, 30s
Bear
and
with
40s.
me.
I'm trying to think of like 30s, 40s-ish names.
Bill Garrett's one of my favorite players of all time. Oh, got it. Dick and Tom Van Arsdale.
Okay, those
legends.
are kind of
Now,
30s and 40s.
Tom was okay. He averaged just about 10 a game. I think it was Dick who was like
Tom got the short end of this thing.
let's see, his junior
Me?
season.
Oh.
Actually, should I fix my eye here? It's kind of falling apart as we continue watching this game.
As our
as are the
as
Indiana
is-
Hoosiers currently.
12-0 run now.
Gosh.
And there's a foul. And finally, Keegan Murray's going off right now.
Yeah.
He's got 11 already.
And I got to think, Keegan Murray is going to be in the conversation alongside Trace Jackson Davis and a bunch of others for just Big Ten Player of the Year because I think he's just, I mean, you've seen what he's been able to do. Obviously, this is an Iowa team who's not bringing back a lot of guys that they had last year. I mean, Luka Garza being one of them. It's a hard thing to replace when you're getting rid of one of the best players, not just in school history, but also Big Ten basketball history. Good floater there by Trey Galloway.
Nice.
And what I love about Trey, man, he just does what he needs to do.
He's been a real spark since he came back.
He
He's been
has.
a big spark for this team since he came back.
And he does what he needs to do. Like that, like you can do a lot there.
Yeah.
Probably could lob it up to TJD, but you're down 3. It's a close game. You just got to kind of do your thing.
Yeah.
I just think Trey is so fun to watch. I think he's a fan favorite because he plays defense. He's not looking for his own shot always. He's just trying to be a guy out there who's going to help you win games. I think that's kind of what I think Mike Woodson is looking to bring to IU. He's looking to bring guys who just want to be that guy. Now, if you could combine
turnover.
Pizza. Sorry, I'm confused.
Pizza. What's that? Never mind. That's a rival pizza company that goes pizza. And I don't even talk about them. Well, I've had them once and they're terrible.
They're so bad,
Little
bro.
Caesars is bad.
They're so bad. They're not good. You know what else is so bad?
What?
Like, how much
Trey
food
Galloway
you-
for 3.
Ooh, breadstick. Ooh. I love how I just threw the pizza down. That was very disrespectful to the pizza act. I'm very sorry.
I already finished the piece. And another turnover.
Oh my God.
Pizza and a breadstick. Can I make a song? Pizza X?
Pizza X, Max would like to make, he used to, what was your major? It was theater, right?
Musical theater, baby.
He was a musical theater major, so
I'll
he
even do a
could
tap
technically
dance.
write a Pizza X jingle.
And hear how it goes.
Oh, 3? No. Oh my God.
Highlight play! Oh, detour sign fell over. Detour.
Yeah, I was going to have to detour after that momentum play. My
And
goodness.
you know what we're going to have to detour to? Talking to Jared Morris, because it's almost 8 minutes to go.
Hey, I'm very excited to talk to Jared Morris, especially after that Trace Jackson going, God, I got to finish this bread.
That bite was for the turnover. This bite's for the highlight play.
I don't know how Mike Woodson keeps his tie so nice all game. I'm sitting down and this is not sitting.
I'm getting pizza toppings on my tie.
It's been a rough day for you. All right,
Well-
Indiana up 2, but big 3 here. No good.
Bonk. I like doing. If I could get on stadium mic every time the away team misses a shot, if I could make a sound effect, I would just really appreciate that. Like, bonk, or like
Like an NBA game?
yeah. If I could just be there and just go wah wah, or
Do you get anxious when Trace dribbles too much? Because I get anxious.
I get anxious. I'm going to be totally honest. When Race Thompson gets a turnover and then plays point guard all the way up the floor. Because that to me is the equivalent of like when a baby takes off running and their legs are really short and they could just fall whenever. That is nothing against you. I cannot dribble at all.
Oh,
Turnover, dunk by Tamar Bates.
That's vibrant. That's a deal. I'm going to save the bone of my Pizza X because I want to show people in the second half what you can do with the bones. Also, I feel like we're going to run out of breadsticks, so maybe save the bone part.
The bone of what?
Well, eating pizza.
Wait.
The part that's all bread at the bottom of the triangle, I call that the bones.
You mean the crust?
No, the bones.
You're a psychopath.
This is all crust.
You're a psychopath.
This is the bone.
No, you're a psychopath.
I'm not a psychopath. That's a
Uh-huh.
legitimate thing.
No. Producer Jack says no.
Jack loves the bones.
I'm going to need to get this jacket dry cleaned. Also, tweet at me if I feel like I have sauce on my cheek. Please tweet at me if I do. I'm not going to wipe it away until someone tells me.
Chris Murray with 13, brother of Keegan Murray. They're brothers.
Producer Jack, can you let me know if someone tweets at us that I have sauce on my cheek?
Does Fran McCaffrey only recruit siblings?
Only.
That's a legitimate question I have.
Rob!
What a tank, Rob. And one. That's a highlight play.
That is a highlight play. All right, we seriously might need Producer Jack to get more.
We'll go pizza for sure.
Wait, 6 minutes. It's time to talk to Jared Morris.
I think Jared texted me and said he's running a little late.
Jared!
So we're getting in.
Producer Jack is pointing down. Now Producer Jack is doing a thumbs up.
Producer Jack, we can't really understand.
Producer Jack, talk. You're allowed to talk.
I think what Producer Jack is trying to say is Jared Morris is here to the chat. So we're going to welcome back in to here today, Jared Morris of Assembly Call. Jared, good to see you, man.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Pretty impressive showing for the Hoosiers in this first half.
Not bad, not bad. You know, they can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Loud and clear.
Yeah, no, they started out well, and then we went to that all bench unit, and everything went to hell. And then, you know, Coach Woodson took a timeout, which was nice to stop the 10-0 run, got Trace and Race back in there, and we regained control of the game. So I think the lesson, as a lot of us have been saying, is let's try to stagger the rotations instead of having the all bench unit in there, especially on the road. But nice recovery by Indiana. You'll take a 2-point lead on the road at this point in the first half.
Yeah, so Jared, first of all, nice to meet you.
Yes,
glad
you
to
guys
finally
too.
kind of get to hear from you. Griffin and I were both talking about this. We've both listened to you for a long time.
We won't tell you how long, though.
No. Also, actually, my real first
It can't be
question
too
is,
long. You
do
guys
I
aren't that
have
old.
something-
Huh?
What?
I said it can't be too long because you guys aren't that old.
Oh, we're 12. It's been like 2 years, Jared.
Okay, first question was, do I have sauce on my cheek? And then I have a real question.
I don't know. I can't see. The
Okay.
image isn't big enough. I'm going to go with
he's
no.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, now real question. What's been your favorite part of doing the Assembly Call podcast? Because, I mean, when I first found out that I was going to Indiana, that's when I first kind of found your podcast and started listening. I mean, what's been your favorite part of building this network?
Well, given the fact that we've been doing it, this is our 11th season, and Indiana has made the NCAA tournament 4 times in the 11 years that we've done it. It hasn't usually been the basketball that is my favorite part. The best part has been, you know, the relationships made with Andy and Ryan and Coach and the other people who have hosted, and then the awesome community members that we have. And once a year, you know, we try to come up to Bloomington. We couldn't last year because of the pandemic, but we'll be up for the game, for the Illinois game on the 5th. We'll be doing an event at Switchyard. And those opportunities to get together and to meet all the people who listen to the show, that's been by far the best part. The community, you know, of IU fans and just kind of being part of the conversation. That's the best part. Hopefully the basketball will catch up and that'll start being enjoyable too.
and Jared, I guess, you know, like you said, just the fandom here, the Indiana basketball, just tradition of it. I guess, you're located in Texas yourself. I mean, they have the reigning national champions in that state. I guess when you look around the country, even other schools in the Big Ten, what just makes Indiana basketball just that much more different?
You know, I think it's the passion and the knowledge to me. You know, when you grow up in Indiana, you learn the game at a deep level. You know, and I think a lot of people who grew up as Indiana fans, especially older fans, you know, really had that. I mean, you know, when Bob Knight was the coach, you know, he would do his show and, you know, walk you through stuff on the chalkboard. And it was some of the most educational, you know, basketball content that you could get. And so I think just that and how well the game is coached in high school, a lot of people who are fans just came up really understanding the game well. And then you add that to just the passion everybody has, you know, for the game. I mean, from, you know, the grandmas who love the Hoosiers and are as vocal as anybody, you know, to then the people who grow up and have that passed down to them, you know, from their family. It's different. You know, I live in Texas now, and that's what football is like here. You're just kind of born and bred to know and to love football, and that's how basketball is in Indiana. It just means
so. Another thing I kind of wanted to ask about, like what that network and what basketball means. You guys recently started the Back Home Network. And what has that been like, kind of creating this big web of content now?
It's been cool. I mean, we've worked really closely with Galen Clavio, really since we launched. I mean, he and Scott Caulfield are the OGs. We call them the godfathers of IU sports podcasting. And, when we started our show, they had already been going for several years. So to me, it's an honor to be able to work with those guys in an official capacity, because we've looked up to them and have been able to do stuff with them in the past, but to bring that closer together, to add Tony Adrania to it, who I think does some of the best film breakdown work of anybody. And then we want to grow it, being able to add a women's show this year with Coach Marlowe and Kathy, given how good the women's team is. That's what we want, is more opportunities like that to cover more Indiana sports and to give more of our community members, an opportunity to get out there and get their voices heard. Because that, to me, when I'm in there interacting in the community, talking with our community members, we have so many people that are really knowledgeable and really enthusiastic, and so to be able to give folks an opportunity, to come up and talk about the team and start to, kind of build their own thing, that's really, really exciting to me. And, the Back Home Network, we kind of started that now. And I think as we move forward, we'll evolve it in that way, and it'll give us more opportunities to do that.
And I do want to jump in quick here. We did have a Trace Jackson Davis block. I'd say that counts as a turnover.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm gonna have a. I thought it's threes for breadsticks. We forgot. But I'm just virtually giving you some Pizza X pizza.
I know, I'm jealous. I tweeted them and I said, can they deliver some to Frisco? And they said, meet us in Bedford. And I thought about it for a second, because it would be worth it.
That sounds like a pretty
option.
The fact that they're willing to go to Bedford is impressive.
I know.
Bedford's not an easy drive either.
No.
Jared, I guess my question is, podcasting as a whole, this is more of an industry question. It's just kind of expanded crazy in the past 5 to 10 years. I mean, 10 years ago, it was hard to find a podcast for your team. And now it's like there are 17 for Indiana basketball and 5 for women's basketball, and there's 2 for field hockey. I guess for you, has it been cool for you to see something that was just start off as a niche community and just see it grow where everyone's listening to a podcast in their car now?
It is. I mean, like I said, we started ours 11 years ago, and you're right. At that time, dunk by Race, that was awesome. I don't know if I'm on a delay, but that was awesome. He's had 2 of those now.
There we go.
It was great. It was still new, and there was a lot of education that had to be done about podcasting. But I felt pretty confident that it was going to catch on, because it's such a great medium, because you can do it while you're doing other things, and there's an intimacy about podcasting. Like when it's just you and somebody's voice, or, a set of people's voice that you're listening to, there's a connection there. And so I think what's made podcasting really unique is that in a lot of ways, the internet and technology and social media has made people more isolated. We kind of have this epidemic of loneliness that I think has been talked about a lot. But content, is Fran McCaffrey getting technical? I said the key to this game would be our point guard managing his emotions better than their coach. And so far, X hasn't been great tonight, but he's at least managed his emotions better than Fran.
So wait, Jared, first of all, it's a Fran McCaffrey technical. So this is not a very, let's not lose our mind. This happens all the time. All the time.
This is barely notable.
But is Fran McCaffrey getting a technical in the first? Is that a highlight play for Indiana?
Sure, we'll take it. I mean, we get, we get
For
free
me,
throws.
it's a highlight play.
Yeah, it's always nice to see Fran flustered. I don't really respect his style as a coach. Obviously he's been more successful at Iowa than Indiana's been the last few years. But I do like having him in the Big Ten, because he's a character, and he does make following the league more fun. It's nice to see him get agitated.
By the end of the game, his face, I kid you not, gets as red as the sauce on his pizza. It really does.
It does. Well, if things are going well for your team, it does.
Yeah, I did see that.
You got the FranCon 1, the FranCon 7. That was a FranCon 5 for me.
Yeah, FranCon 5.
Jared, what I love about this first half of this Indiana game we're watching together is I feel like we've kind of been able to see already, as we kind of pivot the interview to this current Indiana basketball team, we've kind of been already able to see where this team is at their best and where this team is at their worst. I guess for you, when you look at this Indiana team, where do you see those qualities and characteristics coming out? Is it a player control thing? Is it a substitution thing? Where do you see the biggest issues / bonuses, if I may, come in to this ballgame?
Well, It's interesting. I dug into the lineup data at Hoop Lens at the start of this week, and looked at the starters because Indiana's had a really tough time starting first halves and starting second halves. And lineups when Parker Stewart and Miller Kopp have played together have really been some of the least optimal lineups for Indiana, just in terms of point per possession offensively, point per possession defensively. Tonight, those lineups have played much, much better, which is nice to see. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works, because I think as you move forward, you may see Indiana function better with, staggering those guys, because it's like what we saw in, when the bench guys came in, which was they don't have a whole lot of shooting on that bench unit, and I think Tamar Bates in certain instances is kind of forced to be in a tough position as a freshman, because he's kind of like the offensive creator in that lineup, and that's not a good role for him. But I think if you have a Parker Stewart or a Miller Kopp playing with those guys, you've got more of a veteran scoring presence that can maybe settle things down, and so maybe if you have Rob playing more with that starting unit, or if Tamar comes along, if he can step into that role, to me, that's where Indiana will be at their best. Now, Mike Woodson obviously likes the lineup that he's got, and he's rolling with that. And I'm not going to question the coach too much, because he's, knows obviously way more about basketball than I ever will. But the data at least suggests that there may be some things to play there that may give Indiana some more optimal looks. And by the way, if anybody's wondering why I'm wearing a purple necklace, this is not a fashion statement or something I normally do. But my 5-year-old daughter, before she went to bed tonight, gave me this necklace and a rainbow bracelet and said that if I wore them, it would bring Indiana good luck. And I have a 1-year-old son. He's about to turn 1, and he has yet to see Indiana win a road game. And I can't, like the magic of 5-year-old girls, I can't question it. I just have to roll with it. If Coach Woodson's not going to wear a suit, the least I can do is wear a purple necklace if it's going to bring us good luck. And so far, so good. So I'm keeping it on.
Well, you can tell your daughter I'd buy one. It looks beautiful.
I'll tell
beautiful. Great fundraising campaign for Assembly Call there, though, Jay.
Exactly.
It's true. Hey, if we can win on the road, we can probably sell 1,000 of these things.
Clearly, IU fans are hopping on the superstition thing with the suits.
Yeah.
Maybe if this passes, maybe the new superstition is going to be your daughter's necklaces and bracelets.
The road game necklace. Road game
whatever it takes to start winning on the road in the Big Ten, I think Indiana fans will do.
So you mentioned kind of switching up maybe some of the lineups coming into the second half when occasionally they do come out flat. Who would you say is your big? And no, I didn't plan this, but it popped into my head. Pizza X. Who's your big Pizza X factor? Oh. I'm sorry for another pun. Who's your big X factor kind of going forward for this team on the roster?
Well, I think it would be easy to say Xavier Johnson, not just because it fits with the X part, but I think because, you see how big of an impact he has on this team. But actually, I don't really think he's an X factor, because he's just a factor that has to be there for this team.
Yeah.
And his on-off numbers have been really good. Indiana's played a lot better when he's been on the court overall, despite a few notable stretches like the second half of the Wisconsin game that weren't that good. To me, the big X factor down the stretch is Tamar Bates. I think he's a guy that has the talent and the ability to be a guy, the way that I've always looked at him is that he could be a guy like Jaden Ivey was at Purdue last year, where Jaden Ivey wasn't much of a factor early in the season. And then down the stretch, he gained confidence and he really exploded and became a big factor for them. No, I don't think Tamar as a freshman has that kind of potential, but I think he's a guy that could, become a more consistent scorer in that bench unit, a more impactful defender, just a more consistent presence. He's got that talent and he's clearly got the confidence. Now, I think Indiana can succeed without that happening, but that to me is the difference between an Indiana team that is going to surprise people and compete for a top 2-3 spot in the Big Ten and one that'll end up finishing 4th, 5th, or 6th. I think he's got that kind of ability. And so, will he hit a freshman wall and kind of fade from that, which he's kind of struggling right now, or does he bust through that and become the guy we hope he can be? I think, it would make a huge, huge impact on Indiana positively if he can be that guy down the stretch.
Jared, I guess I hate to pick on him because he has 8 tonight. He's looking good. Miller Kopp's name that stands out to me when I ask this question, but also Jordan Geronimo, as far as guys who maybe you just want to see just a tad more from. Do you think that's fair, or is there somebody else on this roster that you think could do a little bit more to really help this team?
Yeah, I think, Geronimo, I think, is a guy who he's going to pick his spots. He's going to have ups and downs. He still is clearly, learning the game, and there's certain matchups that are going to be better for him than others. I think Iowa is a really good matchup for him, and he's already, made some big plays. And so I think just getting hustle points, doing some of those things, he'll have his moments. Kopp is interesting, because he hasn't had great numbers, but if you think back to certain games, he's made big shots when Indiana has needed them. I think back to the start of the second half against St. John's. Nothing was going offensively. Kopp scores 5 straight points. So he feels like a guy to me whose buckets have really meant something, even though the quantity hasn't been a lot. Now, you would like to have more from him. And again, I think you could get some benefits by staggering he and Parker. But I think as we get into the heart of Big Ten play and road games, a guy with his experience is going to pay a lot of dividends. And there may be games when he doesn't have a huge statistical output, and that could still be okay because Indiana can get it from other places. But I think he's the kind of guy that'll probably have a couple 15, 16-point games in key spots when you need it. And that's what Indiana's going to need from him, because there's going to be some games, like the Penn State game would have been a great opportunity for him to do that. Now, no one played well that day, but that's what I mean, a game where everything's kind of sluggish. A guy who's been around the conference, been in these different venues, can he step up when Indiana needs something offensively? If he can play that role, that would be big for IU.
And so as it stands, kind of going back to this game, and also the last time we had a show on here was when the Hoosiers were at Wisconsin. As it stands right now, the Hoosiers have a 10-point lead. And kind of similar situation at the end of the first half against Wisconsin. The Hoosiers were really rolling. What do you think is important this time around for the Hoosiers to kind of keep this lead that they have right now for the rest of the first half and then holding on to it in the second?
Well, I think there are two keys. One is to come out with the same energy to start the second half. You can't just have a lead. Well, and really what happened in that Wisconsin game is we actually gave up that 5-0 run right at the end of the first half, which kind of felt like it killed momentum. So they need to close this half strong, number one. And then, play well to start the second half. And the other key is that Iowa is never going to defend you like Wisconsin does. So, that will be helpful because Wisconsin really frustrated Indiana defensively in that game by taking away the things that Indiana had done well in the first half. And Indiana didn't respond. Xavier Johnson got baited into some bad shots. We all remember what happened. I don't think Iowa's going to be able to do that. And so Indiana needs to just stick with their game plan offensively and play defense the way they have over these last 7 to 8 minutes, because sometimes you play these games against Iowa and they're so kind of lackadaisical defensively and they play this up and down game. It can get you out of what you typically do defensively. And I thought we saw that early from Indiana, but they've tightened it up here, over the past, probably 7 to 8 minutes. And so if they do that, Indiana's the better team. Iowa hasn't beaten anybody ranked higher than 63rd. So Indiana just needs to do that. And I think they'll be in a good position to win the game. But nothing's easy on the road in the Big Ten. And if they come out and stop doing the things offensively that they've been doing in this half, then it's going to be a struggle.
Jared, who do you think's been in the Big Ten longer or has felt like they've been in the Big Ten longer, Bohannon or Wisconsin, Brad Davidson? Because I feel like they both they make Aaron Kraft look like they've been in like he was here for 2 years, I feel like.
Did those two guys come in together? The actual answer is they've both been here forever.
Yes.
But honestly, it probably feels like Davison, just because we've lost so many times to those guys, and you have the combination of that ridiculous streak at Wisconsin. So, they've both been Indiana killers in a lot of ways. Davison's made big shots. We all remember what Bohannon did to us a couple years ago. So I will not be sorry to see either one of those guys go. They're great competitors, but they're also guys who are kind of easy to hate if they're not on your team, which, frankly, we need one of those guys. Like, I hope Trey Galloway becomes one of those guys because I feel like we haven't had one of those in a while. We want a guy that everybody else hates, like Will Sheehy. You need one of those.
Exactly. And then, Jared, I want to give you a shot to answer the IU, the Pizza X trivia question. I want to see if you know it.
Ooh, okay.
Indiana going for their 4th straight win against Iowa. When is the last time IU has won 4 straight against Iowa?
The last time IU won 4 straight against Iowa?
Yep. They've done 3 straight a couple times, but this will be the first. This could be the first time they go 4 straight since a certain amount of time.
I'm going to go with the early 90s. Did we do it in the early 90s when Shaney was there and AC Earl was on Iowa?
They did it between the year of 1991 and 1994.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I was at a lot of those games. And those were some good Iowa teams too. Iowa had good teams back then. But I do recall us usually winning those games.
You know, I wasn't alive then, but from what I read, not to age you there, Jared. From what I read,
those are my favorite basketball memories. Is those teams actually?
From what I watch and what I read, man, those Indiana teams, they were a different beast back then.
They were, you know, the 93 season, the 92-93 season is my favorite sports team of all time. And that was really probably the last time Indiana was truly at the epicenter of college basketball. I mean, they were number 1 most of the season. You had Nick Nolte coming to IU games because he was shadowing Bob Knight. You had the hilarious story about Ivan Renko when Coach Knight just like makes up this recruit. You had the National Player of the Year. I mean, it was so much fun being an IU fan there because you felt it's kind of like what being a Duke fan right now feels like. It's like everything you do is the most important thing that happens in college basketball. And, you know, for me, like as a fan, I want new fans to feel that because it was so much fun being a fan of the team back when that was the case.
Is there a possibility of Indiana getting back there? It's just like, how hard is it to build that up? I mean, it took Coach K 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, because Coach Knight was such a singular figure. And so part of the reason why there was such a media gravity toward Indiana is because of how compelling of a figure, love him or hate him, that Coach Knight was. And that he's one of the 4 or 5 greatest basketball coaches, basketball minds of all time. So, you know, it's hard to say that Indiana can get back there because what he did was amazing. But, you know, you think back to the 2013 team. You know, I mean, when Indiana has it rolling, they naturally drift toward the center of college basketball. You know, now that team didn't quite have what it took, you know, to finish the job. But yeah, I mean, I think it's always there for Indiana because the fan support is so crazy. The atmosphere at home games is nuts. You know you're going to get good players from the state. So that's always there if Indiana's good, and just the tradition and the name. And, you know, I think that, you know, for us older fans, it's that frustration of knowing what it can be and just year after year after year, you know, seeing it fall short of that. So, yeah, I think that potential is there, but, you know, when is it going to happen? Who knows? And every year removed from, you know, those early 90s night teams and that time period, you know, it's fewer and fewer people kind of remember it, and it drifts further into the background. So sooner rather than later for all of us.
So, Jared, so far, based on what you've seen this season, the Hoosiers started off really well and then kind of have ran into that Big Ten bump a little bit, but they had some big wins these past 2 games against Ohio State and Minnesota. What are your predictions right now for the Hoosiers season?
Well, I've always thought this is a team that would make the NCAA tournament. You know, even if they kind of sneak in on the bubble, I think that's what the expectation should be. And I think that's what they'll do. Mm-hmm. You know, after the Penn State game, you know, I guess I've tried to stay relatively conservative. Nice drive, Trey. I've tried to stay relatively conservative, you know, and think we'll probably finish somewhere between 6 and 8 in the conference. But I got to say, like, after the Ohio State and the Minnesota games, it got my confidence up a little bit because some of the stuff that I wanted to see, you know, Xavier Johnson playing more within himself and managing his emotions better. We started to see that. Rob Finney start to become a little bit more consistent offensively. We started to see that. So some of these things we've needed to see, we're seeing. Now the next big thing is, can this team actually do it on the road? You know, that's what will determine it, because I think, you know, Coach Woodson has obviously placed a high premium on winning at home, and they seem to be responding pretty well there. So can they win on the road? I mean, you're up 7 at Iowa, a team that's not going to defend you very well. You have to win this game. You know, and so to me, they win a game like this. Now you're talking about a team that I think could have a realistic opportunity to finish top 4 or 5 in the conference. You lose games like this, you're going to be there between 6 and 8 and probably on the bubble come Selection Sunday. So I think what happens in these next 20 minutes is going to tell us a lot about, you know, what this team is, where they are right now.
Well, they have 20 minutes to do it, Jared, and we'll see what they can do. Jared, thanks so much for coming on, man. If people want to listen to Assembly Call, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Best way is just to go to assemblycall.com. All the shows are right there, or you can follow us on Twitter at assemblycall. We tweet everything out. And thank you guys for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. This is fun, and I love that you guys are doing this experiment. How is it going? Like, how are you enjoying this format? I'm curious.
We like it because it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot. I have a lot of fun doing these.
It's fun, but it's also, you know what? I think it's what we try to do is we try to find a market that no one was tapping. And
Yep.
I think we're kind of finding an interesting mix. And hey, when Brando's on Big Ten Network, we tend to get better ratings than them. So it's actually going pretty well, I think.
That's great. Hey, when we started the Assembly Call, that was our whole thought too, is no one's doing a post-game show. So we're not going to have an audience. Let's just be different and see who wants to show up for it. So that's smart positioning. Well, good luck. If there's anything I can do to help you guys out, please let me know.
Will do, Jared. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
Cool. Take care, guys.
All right, Jared Morris hopping on. We appreciate him at the half. Indiana up 7. It's going to be a big second half coming up underway. We're going to take a quick bathroom/pizza break. But when we get back, Victor Becerra, special halftime interview coming up in just 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the show. Indiana, second half. We're at halftime now, and we're pleased to be joined by a special guest. He's one of the greatest athletes in Indiana University history and one of the strongest programs in IU athletics history. It's, of course, Victor Becerra, former Indiana Hoosier and now playing for Chicago Fire. Vic, thanks for joining us, man. How's the professional soccer life treating you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good. We're going to get started soon. We go to preseason in Orlando in a few days, and looking forward to it.
And I guess, Vic, just talk to me about the transition. I mean, in a matter of weeks, you're at IU, you've just wrapped up your season, you're still a student, and then all of a sudden everything kind of happens at once, and you're now a professional soccer player. What was that timeline like? What was just the emotions going through your head?
Yeah, so since the beginning of the season, we kind of knew that, the opportunity was there. I was offered a contract as soon as my sophomore season was over. And me and my family decided that it'd be better if I came back for another year of school, just for unfinished business and to further my degree. And the opportunity still stood at the end of the season, and I'm grateful that the Fire extended that opportunity to me. And I'm still a semester and a half-ish away from graduating, so I'm still taking classes online, and I'll be done this time next year, hopefully graduated.
So kind of going from Chicago and then back to IU, and then now that you're playing professionally with them, what is it like being back in Chicago and now kind of being able to represent the team?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up supporting the team. It's my hometown club, and it's always been a dream of mine to play for the team and represent my city. And now that I'm able to do it, it's a huge honor, and very excited to do so. It's kind of cool. Every time we leave the city, we drive right by Soldier Field, the stadium in which the Fire will play at, and historic stadium, and very excited to get my first debut there.
So now that you're back in Chicago, I'm from Chicago as well. I got to talk pizza. Where's your go-to pizza place in Chicago?
There is a right answer.
There, by the way, 100% undoubtedly is a right answer. But I'll hear yours first.
Definitely Giordano's.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a huge deep dish guy, but
okay, there's my answer right there.
If I had to pick a place, it'd definitely be Giordano's.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
I do.
It's acceptable. We'll take it.
All out. You're allowed to continue.
You're allowed to stay on the show here for a little bit. Well, man, you could have gone pro a little bit ago when you came runner-up for the Matt Kerman Trophy, but you chose to come back to Indiana. I guess for you, obviously, you guys didn't meet the goals, but I guess what made it right about this time going pro compared to the year ago?
Yeah, so many things went into the decision. I'd say probably the biggest was I felt that, the way we ended last season wasn't the way I wanted to, leave IU. I felt like I still had unfinished business here. And, I also think something that came into the factor was that in MLS, it was in the middle of the season still. If I came in with the Fire, I would be joining in the team halfway through their season. And that's not necessarily what I wanted to do. And the Fire, they offered me the opportunity to either sign then in the summertime or now. So, me and my family talked about it a lot, and, we weighed the pros and cons, and it turned out that this was the better option for us.
So this is my first opportunity to talk with you, Victor. And I mean, I figured I'd take this moment since you've risen up the ranks and now you've made it to pros to find out where I went wrong in my soccer career. So when I was starting off, the ball was very scary to me, and it is still today. But there was one time at tryouts when my mom said, be aggressive. And someone kicked the ball at my head, and it hit me in the head, and it hurt. And I thought that was being aggressive, but I still didn't make the team. I never made travel. What could I have done differently? Did I not hit the ball with my head hard enough?
He has a good question.
What did I do? What did I do, Victor?
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say heading the ball is a very minute part of the game.
What if the ball hits me?
If the ball hits you, I don't know, man. Like, where did he kick the ball from? How far were you from the?
Very close.
Very close.
I was trying to be aggressive, like my mom said.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe you're too aggressive.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know how to answer you, man. That's a tough one.
I'll think on it. That helps. Now I know what to do. If I ever go back to like 8th grade soccer tryouts, I'll.
He's been wanting to ask that for a while, Vic.
It's been a burning question. It really has.
Vic, talk to me about what it was like to play for Coach Yeggs. I know he was also a star at Indiana back in the day. I'm sure you guys had a lot of similar just playing styles and just traits. I guess for you, what was it like having him as your coach for the past few years?
Yeah, we had a really good bond. We created a very good bond, and it helped me throughout many games. Knowing that I can count on him, on his friendship as well on the side, and he always pushed me to the max, and he always knew what to do to get the most out of me. Being a coach, that's probably the most important thing you can do is know how to get the most of your players, and he for sure did that with me.
So you had a lot of success with this program, and obviously you meant a lot to the program, and the program, I would imagine, meant a lot to you. Kind of, what do you think your impact was on this program? What do you leave with it, and what are your thoughts on the program going forward?
Yeah, so to start off with the last question you asked, in terms of where I see this program going, I'm very excited to see it grow. I'm going to be a supporter of the team, and my brother's going to be playing there starting this next season. Very excited for him. I think he's going to do great things there. Looking back on my time at IU, being a first team All-American and all the accolades, all the Big Ten titles that we won. I look back at it with knowing that we won a lot of hardware, which is very important to the program, and I can physically touch trophies, and that's always going to be very important to me. But I think the most important thing that I gained there was the friendships, and they gave me the opportunity to reach the next level.
And hey, one of those friendships, I know you're close with him. Roman Santano got drafted just a little bit ago by Cincinnati with the 2nd overall pick. What was that conversation with him after he got drafted? Did you text him? You give him a call, FaceTime? What was that like?
Yeah. Me and Roman are boys. He talked to me through his even before he knew where he was going. He told me the teams that were interested in him, and it was always very exciting. I was always very excited for him. Wherever he ended up, I was going to be very happy for him. And Cincinnati is a great place. My girlfriend lives there. I know the city in and out, and it's a beautiful place. The team is really growing. The organization is great. So he landed himself with a great team and a great opportunity for him. Super excited for him. The conversation went really well. When I talked to him, he was super happy and excited. And he achieved his dream, and I'm sure he's going to do bigger and better things as well.
Vic, I mean, I don't know if you're checking out this basketball game at all, but I mean, being a part of Indiana athletics is obviously a big honor. Kind of what's one of your favorite memories, kind of looking back on your career at IU with the team or being a part of IU athletics?
I would say with the team, with the men's soccer team, my favorite memory was winning the Big Ten championship at home against Penn State. Raising a trophy at Armstrong was unreal and kind of unheard of until we did it. I mean, the Big Ten was never hosted or was typically never hosted at at home. It was always at a neutral venue, and the COVID year kind of changed things, and so doing that was unreal. But in terms of like all athletics, I think going to my first basketball game was probably the coolest thing that I did. I went to the Wisconsin against Indiana in 2019. I think that was when Wisconsin clinched the regular season title. But we packed out Assembly Hall. It was a really close game. We actually played a good game, and just seeing how many fans we have was really cool, and seeing like Mark Cuban there, and Victor Oladipo. Really cool things that this happens only in the United States. Having a college team that's this big with this fan base, so that was probably the coolest overall athletics moment outside of soccer.
Vic, how about Bloomington as a whole? I know you're moving back to Chicago here shortly, or if you're not there already, what will you miss most about the city and the student life and just being at IU?
Yeah, that's I'm gonna miss a lot of things. I didn't expect myself to love Bloomington. I lived my whole life in downtown Chicago, but moving out to Bloomington was definitely different. But I think just having all my teammates so close by, everything being so close, and I think just knowing that my teammates are 2 minutes away, 2-minute drive away, and being able to go and talk to the guys whenever I needed to is huge. And I think just our campus, we have the best campus in the Big Ten, without a doubt for me. And being able to go on walks and checking out the campus on a weekly basis is something that I'll always remember for sure.
Well, there you go. Well, Vic, thanks so much for hopping on with us. Best of luck, and cannot wait to see what you do next, man.
I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for having me, and go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers. See you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
So that was Victor Becerra, legend.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say? Guy's a legend. He's going to keep doing amazing things in the professionals. And I said future MLS All-Star. I don't think that's a reach. I really don't. But we got second half basketball underway. If you're just joining us, stick with us. We got a lot of special guests coming on. Scott Agnes from Indianapolis is coming to talk some Pacers.
Why'd you say it like that? Indy pause Annapolis.
Well, I didn't know if I was going to say Indiana. I don't know. Anyway,
okay,
he's coming on.
Sorry.
He's going to talk to us about Mike Woodson's transition, the good, the bad, the ugly. That is the NBA basketball going to college. And, of course, TJD's pro hopes. But we're playing a little game because this broadcast, all of it's sponsored by Pizza X. They gave us some pizza day. We're eating a pizza for each highlight play or first turnover, a bite of it, that is. And then we're eating these breadsticks for every 3 Indiana makes. And we added a level of excitement here because I was like, you know what? When you get to the bottom of the pizza, when you eat the entire pizza, now he calls this the crust. I call
like
this
a
the
normal
bone.
person.
This is called the bone. This is not a breadstick. This is the end of the pizza. I like to dip them in a little something. So in order to show this tradition to Max,
Okay.
I brought in an assortment of my favorite sauces. As you can see,
Oh.
it looks like a paint palette.
Palette.
Well, we're going to be expanding his palette because I got a little bit of everything. I got some Chick-fil-A sauce. I got some ranch. I have some Polynesian sauce. For some reason, we have a lot of Chick-fil-A sauce in our fridge. This is all what we found in our fridge. We have also a Chipotle thing. Don't know. We'll try it. We have, and then finally, my personal favorite, some St. Elmo's cocktail sauce. Now, I'm not sure how that tastes on pizza.
We'll find
But
out.
by golly, we might have a new Pizza X special if this tastes well. I'm thinking shrimp with some.
Whoa.
Did we just make a shrimp cocktail pizza?
We've had 2. Wait.
Cancel the game. Cancel the game. We're just going to talk about
make a shrimp cocktail pizza.
Okay, you take little bits of shrimp. You
Sprinkle
put
them on.
cheese. What kind of cheese goes good with shrimp?
A nice brie.
A debris.
A crisp square. I don't know. I'm just naming cheeses.
All right, Pizza X. You guys are on that. Shrimp cocktail pizza for our next episode.
And there's a 3.
Victory. That breadstick.
That's a 3 breadstick.
Would you like some sauce?
A St. Elmo sauce.
You want the St. Elmo sauce? Let's do the St. Elmo sauce
shrimp
together. Here.
cocktail.
Shrimp cocktail sauce. You got to really get it in there.
It's making me reach.
There you go. Okay, so you show it to the camera.
Is this spicy?
So, wait, you'll see.
No. I don't do well with spice.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
3,
Ooh.
3, 2, 1. Let it hit.
That's spicy. Ha ha. I feel like
You gotta eat more bread after it. You gotta let it have its full effect.
no, I'm gonna cry.
Is he crying?
Too spicy.
Producer Jack, we zoom in on his face. Is he crying? I think he's crying. Full screen. Is he crying? He's crying! I told you, it's not easy, bro.
It's too
Did Parker Stewart just hit another 3, or was that a replay?
Oh no.
Are you gonna be okay?
It burned the back of my mouth.
Oh yeah, it does that.
I needed the breadstick.
Do you want to try the horseradish?
Not
The
right
horseradish
now.
is worse.
Not right now.
I want some more. That was delicious. See, I'm an Indy kid. You Chicago kids, you're built soft. We're built different.
Did they put wasabi in that?
Probably.
Producer Jack, I need more Coca-Cola, please. That was aggressive. I didn't like that.
I think it's delicious. I put it right on the tongue.
No, not the breadstick. The way I yelled at Producer Jack.
Yeah, that was rude.
I didn't mean that. Producer Jack, you know I love you. Producer Jack, speak. There you have it. That was interesting. I like the point you made earlier. I prefer the Pizza X breadsticks plain so far. Then again, we have like 8 other sauces to try.
We do. We need Indiana to make 8 other 3 so we can try them.
That would be good for trying sauces and for the Hoosiers.
Yeah.
8 other 3s, that's 24 points. Look at that, Matt.
Well, Indiana's up 54-49. We never really did a stat update for the first half, so I can go ahead and show you guys the stats now if you don't mind. Let's go ahead and add the stats to the screen. 54-49 the score at the media timeout. Johnson with 2 points on 0 for 3 shooting. He's back, folks. 3 turnovers for him in 15 minutes of play. Miller Kopp, 8, 2 for 4. He's been pretty quiet, though, for the past 10 minutes. TJD, 5 of 5 inside the paint tonight. 4 of 6 from the free-throw line. He's got 14. Grace
7
Thompson,
boards.
I'm telling you, Thompson has been consistent as heck this season. I mean, 10 points, 5 of 7 shooting, 0 of 1 from 3. I thought he could have hit that 3. It was wide open. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 foul, 1 turnover. Turnover number for Indiana, 12 tonight. A little higher than Mike Woodson likes it. That's where he likes it for the game. Big Shot Rob has 2. Parker Stewart with 6. Anyway, should be interesting to see.
Producer Jack's pointing at something?
Producer Jack is always pointing. So anyway, we have a lot more coming on today's show. Do not go anywhere. Scott Agnes talking NBA. Trace Jackson, NBA hopeful maybe at the end of this year, what that could look like and how he could transition there. And also a little bit later, Gracie Barra from Inside the Hall joining us at the end of this one to close it out and see what it's like. Man, that Victor conversation was fun. Did your mic break?
It fell off while I was eating the St. Elmo's sauce.
That's understandable.
So if you've just heard a muffled shirt ruffling for the past 2 minutes, that's why.
So,
anyway, that was very enjoyable. I've never talked to him before.
No, and he's a good kid. He's going to do great stuff, man.
Very excited to follow him, and especially now that he's on the Chicago Fire. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. But anyway, Iowa, Indiana still going at it. They're showing some film of Indiana doing a film study. Do you remember when Dan Dockage was calling games? God, that was sad. But do you remember what was even more sad is, do you remember when he would take the cones? I don't know if you remember this. During Big Ten games, whenever Dan Dockage would call, he would take 3 cones. He would bring cones from home. That's the other question. Did ESPN provide the cones for Dan Dockage, or did Dan Dockage bring his own cones? I might have to tweet at him and ask him.
I hope he just brought just a big backpack full of cones.
He would literally just do a cone drill. He would do a freaking cone drill during a media timeout. It's hilarious.
Huh. Interesting.
Dan Dockage, folks. An Indiana treasure.
So,
Indiana
you know what I
University.
think is
Indiana.
interesting?
What
You
else?
know what's interesting is this is another opportunity for the Hoosiers. They need to really come out, I think, firing on all cylinders. And they, other than that Parker Stewart 3, really haven't been so far. They've only put up, six points since. So they really, I think they really need to put it back together here. kind of reel it all in, and not let it slip away.
I'm getting a little nervous because of how much Iowa has been able to come back from. Indiana had 9-point lead, 10-point lead, and it's just a 12-point lead. Iowa just does not go away.
I also want more breadsticks.
Well, if they could hit some threes, we
And
could have
pizza.
some.
And pizza.
I think they're capable of making 3 more threes. Got
How many more
5 on the
breadsticks
game.
do I have?
8
I have
threes
3
is
more
solid.
breadsticks. So
8 threes would be just around average what this team can make.
I would enjoy that. Oakley would enjoy that as well.
Oakley is complaining because she doesn't think Indiana's played good defense today, and they haven't.
Oakley wants.
If you would have
St.
told me
Elmo's sauce.
Iowa at halftime would be shooting 46%, I would have told you they would have won. They would be winning by 20.
They're a fast-paced
winning.
team.
They're a fast-paced team, and they play absolutely no defense. But Indiana shooting 57% from the field today. That's a recipe for success.
To be honest, I really did think when that soccer ball hit my head, I thought I was going to make the team.
I can't believe you asked him that.
I
was
need
like,
to know.
I
I need
was
to know
like,
how to
where's he
get
going
better.
with this?
I need to know how to get better. That wasn't enough, I guess. I never made the travel soccer team.
Are you excited for intramural basketball? Me and Max are playing on an intramural basketball team, guys. Except and producer Jack.
Producer
I'm sorry,
Jack's-
producer Jack.
Producer Jack's there too.
Producer Jack needs to come on the show.
He does.
He needs a third camera.
I want him to just come up here and just lick the St. Elmo's sauce. Can you do that?
Can you handle that?
Can you handle?
Can we pour you a
handle
shot
the
glass
sauce
of it? Should we pour him a shot glass of it?
Of St. Elmo's sauce?
Yeah.
Producer Jack.
What are the odds, Jack?
What are the odds, Producer Jack?
Producer Jack, what are the odds?
Permission. He'll just do.
He's going to
See,
do it.
That's
He's
the
going
fire.
to do it.
Turnover.
Turnover.
Breadstick. I
Breadstick.
mean pizza.
Or
Turnovers are pizza.
I am so confused.
Me too, but I'm happy because I get to eat.
Once again, shout out to Pizza X for this delicious pizza.
I'm taking 2 bites. I really am. If they okay, I have a thought. What if you take bites of pizza and then they overturn the turnover? What do I do with it?
I think you gotta spit it up.
Okay. Well, good thing they didn't overturn it.
Chris Murray, Keegan Murray is playing really well today. 19 career high. Keegan was supposed to have 24 tonight. Don't think he's there quite yet. He's at 10. So I think my bet's gonna hit. I don't know about yours, but
Let's bring those bets back.
huh?
Let's bring those bets back. I
You wanna see the
what
bets?
Yeah. What if I hit? What
For those of
happened?
you who know, every time IU plays, okay,
Mhm.
me and Max, we take the 5 biggest bets of the day.
Max and I.
Max and I. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We take the bets of the day, and we basically pick. Please don't try to read my handwriting. This is not going to work. We basically try to pick who we think's going to win, who we don't. I should just sit like this and talk like this for the rest of the show. This is fascinating.
Like
All right.
sneaking up behind the.
So, as you can see, is this how it's like being a teacher? This is impossible. Okay, that's this hand. No, that's this hand. Okay.
That's yeah.
So, I took Iowa plus 4.5. Max, your bet is looking better there.
Okay.
Max took IU money line.
Okay.
Over under, you took the over. That's looking pretty solid right now.
Yeah, we're already at 1-9.
Yeah, that's looking solid. You got to hit 150 and a half. Keegan Murray over. I took the under there. That's looking
Yikes.
great. He has 10. That's
Wait.
his brother, Chris.
Are you sure?
Yes. And TJD, you had over 20 and a half. Right now, he has 14. So I think I see it. We're looking good.
We are. Wait, who's looking good? You or me?
I think we both look fantastic.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell because you're still the only one on the screen.
Yeah, come on, producer Jack.
Producer Jack.
Producer Swisher Jack. Jack
Thank
is
you.
doing the job of like 10 people right
Welcome
now.
back.
Including babysitting
Including
my dog,
dog
so she
wrangling.
stops getting in the shot.
Every time, I wish we could get a shot of this because every time the dog goes like, whoa, like right there, Jack goes, oh yeah. Oh.
Anyway, just a few minutes. Scott Agnes going to be joining us. Talk some Indiana basketball, as well as some NBA, the differences between the two. You a Bulls fan? You're from Chicago.
Absolutely, I'm a Bulls fan.
So your life has been miserable for like 10 years, but it's just starting to be
now
really
it's
good.
now it's going up.
Yeah.
It all changed when they brought in the new front office. Absolutely all changed.
If only all Chicago teams could do that.
And former. Oh, totally agree. The Bears.
Ryan Pace is coming on next week. He's free now.
If I'm gonna find out how to contact him, and I'm gonna get Ryan Pace
You
on.
can't yell at our guests.
What?
Ooh, bad entry.
No,
pass.
I wouldn't yell at Ryan. I'd say Ryan.
Would you say IU's transition defense is bad? That was bad. Mike's
Mike
unhappy.
Wood-
Mike's pissed. Mike is
Woodson.
pissed. Mike's pissed.
Instead of Trey Galloway catching that pass, Mike Woodson did. Mike, your playing days are over, buddy.
Here's my question. Does Mike Woodson get a technical foul this season? He hasn't yet. Does he get one this year? I've seen him get pretty fired up.
I could see it.
I could see it during the Purdue game.
Oh, that'd be perfect. That'd be perfect.
Because, every IU Purdue game, there's always one call that definitely was the wrong way that favors Purdue.
Yeah.
I could totally see a Mike Woodson freak out. All right, we got another media timeout here. Under 12. Let's see what the stats are looking like. 56-55, Indiana with a 1-point lead. I think this one's coming down to the wire. I really
That's
do.
what it looks like right now. And what's going to be really important with that is free throws. Will they make if it gets into a fouling type thing? What is IU going to make their free throws down the stretch?
As somebody who's watched Indiana basketball for the past 20 years,
Okay,
I'm going to say no.
you've been watching for 20. How old are you?
22.
You started watching basketball when you were 2?
Yeah, bro.
I was late to the game. Apparently,
Yeah, you're right.
that's wow. You've been watching basketball.
At what point do the ties come off?
When I'm really ready to
Oh,
Archie, producer
we have
Jack.
words from producer Jack. He wants us to pull an Archie and rip off the tie.
But I just bought this tie.
Okay, don't rip it off. But
Look at the cool tie.
Have you ever seen that picture of Archie ripping off his tie?
No.
It looks like a child who just has to wear a suit all day. So he just goes,
I don't want to wear it.
yeah, I'm not pulling it up.
Okay. Bring it up.
Archie Miller ripping tie.
I will not rip my tie. I just got my tie. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Producer Jack, where'd you go? I can't see you. Oh, speaking of, I think, are these in the shot? They are in the shot. Sidewalk closed. For all you at home who are looking behind me or want to walk behind me, the sidewalk is closed. Cross here. And I kept trying to ask Griffin where this sign came from, and he wouldn't tell me.
I don't know where it came from.
He doesn't know, but I think he does. I'm going to figure out, while Griffin's doing his research, I'm going to do mine.
I can't find the Archie Miller tie ripoff. But I can tell you exactly where I've seen it. It's at Upstairs Bar and Grill. Did you really just, why? Why are you moving my furniture?
Because I'm showing
That
you.
is a decorative art piece. I got
Look.
that in an art show.
Look at the art. Sidewalk closed. Cross here. When I need a break, I'm just going to say sidewalk closed. Why isn't it going in the camera? I'm done experimenting.
Are you done? Can we go back to watching basketball?
Yes, we'll go back.
After
It's
all, this is
heavy.
a basketball watch party.
I thought it was a construction sign review party.
Yeah. I'm eating my bread.
Okay. What?
Why? Because that was.
The Chipotle is pretty good.
I'm tired from lifting that sidewalk sign.
Do what I'm tired of?
What?
The great deals that are offered at Pizza X.
You're tired?
Just kidding. You can.
That was
never,
a terrible line.
You can never get tired of great deals.
That was awful. Leave it to me.
Okay.
I'm going to come up with another slogan.
My minor is marketing.
Okay. Well, maybe you should get a major because you clearly haven't. Bada bing, bada boom. Roasted. Okay,
Who's
back
your
to
ne-
basketball.
who's
I'm
your-
getting confused. I'm going to come up with better slogans now, though.
Well, hey,
While we
speaking of basketball, now that we're back to the action, we get to bring in a special guest. Welcome Scott Agnes to the show. Scott, man, how you doing? How's
What's
life?
up, Griff? I'm doing well, man. Thanks for the invite. I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. But how much fun is the Manning cast, too? Like, there's so many times, like, I don't care about, I don't know, Chargers, whomever. Let's say Vikings, right? But because of Peyton and Eli, I'm watching every single second.
Yeah, they
There you
made
go.
ESPN finally found a thing that works for Monday Night Football. It took way longer than it should have, but they finally found something.
I feel really
Scott, man,
underdressed, though. I didn't get the memo here that we're going full Mike Woodson style.
Oh, well, we figured Mike Woodson wouldn't be wearing a suit, so Max had the great idea.
Well, this is a good opportunity to take the ties off so that we're all not at it.
Well,
Then we're
we'll make
together.
it feel
Yeah.
welcome. Sorry.
Here.
We are wearing sweatpants because this is a
And Birkenstocks.
top half show.
Respect for that. Max, nice to meet you. I love
Nice to meet you, too. I suppose I should introduce myself before showing you my Birkenstocks. So nice to meet you. Now check out the Birkenstocks. There we go.
Well,
Never owned a pair of Birkenstocks, but I've heard great things. Just like Crocs.
They are comfortable.
Same
and
thing.
They break in very well.
I've heard that.
But, it doesn't break in as well as a X breadstick.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a lie. Anyway.
Well, Scott, I want since we're talking about a suited Mike Woodson versus a not suited Mike Woodson, I guess that's where I kind of want to start with you today. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know at home, you cover the Indiana Pacers, but you watch a lot of NBA basketball. I'm sure you're an avid watcher of the game. I'm sure you knew a lot about Mike Woodson's career before he came to Indiana. How do you think he's doing at the whole transitioning from NBA to college?
Yes, so far so good, I would say. I mean, they're 13-3 and easily could be almost undefeated, maybe 1 or 2 losses. I was at that Syracuse game, for example. That should not have been a loss. That Syracuse team was not good. I didn't even realize. By the way, great shot of Fish, my idol right there. But anyway, gotta love Fishy. But anyway, yeah. I mean, you look at what this team has accomplished this season. 12-3 right now. A couple of those losses really should not have been, but I chalk that up to growing pains. And so I've been really impressed what they've been able to get accomplished in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, it's been impressive kind of making that transition. What would you say is the biggest when you see coaches go from we haven't seen it too much, coaches go from NBA to college. A lot more, it's coaches going from college to NBA. One that comes to mind being from Chicago is Fred Hoiberg going from Iowa State to Chicago. What's the biggest transition going from either college to NBA and NBA to college? What's that big difference and step that you take going between the two leagues?
Yeah, we got perfect examples of that, right? So Brad Stevens goes from Butler to college. The biggest difference there is you don't have to recruit. You don't have the 10 p.m. phone calls with ex-recruit down in Evansville or anything like that. You also don't have practices. And that's one thing a lot of the diehard coaches miss out on is you don't have the daily opportunities to get better. And so honestly, like right now in the season, Pacers and NBA teams more than halfway through the season, you're really not holding many practices at this point. And so for a lot of diehards, that's a challenge. Now going the other way, the biggest concern, and this is what I had for Woody, is coming back to Indiana, is the recruiting landscape. Is that opens you up to a whole different thing, is now you're the guy that has to be in charge of guys. You got to hold them accountable for going to class. You got to hold them accountable, for, whatever Cliff is wanting in the weight room, for example. Whereas in the pros, you got guys for that, and it's a little bit more individualized. Ooh, that's tough. But the biggest thing generally is practices. You don't really have a ton in the pros. And in the college game, you really have to recruit. And that's something Brad Stevens and nobody really misses out on because it is such a time killer.
Iowa really coming together right now
against
Indiana. They got it back up to a 2-point lead. I guess from your perspective, I was listening to a podcast earlier this week about the NBA, and it was saying something how Frank Vogel's one of the top 10 longest tenured NBA coaches right now. Yeah, it feels like yesterday he was hired at the Lakers, right? And just the kind of challenges of coaching in the NBA in the sense that, you get stale after 2 years. Have you seen that with guys in the NBA? Are guys really just that stale? And is that going to, if that is the case going forward, is that going to make a college job more appealing to some of the best coaches in the country?
So there's no way a college job in most cases are more appealing than an NBA, because NBA you're coaching the best in the world, you're getting paid better, and it's less work in terms of outside of basketball. But I will say in the pro game, guys, you have to deal with agents. There's a lot of politics. You have to deal with managers. A lot of challenges that come with that. I mean, we're seeing firsthand here in Indiana with Miles Turner. right now that, we're posting cryptic tweaks. And I know that really frustrated Rick Carlisle last game when I had to ask him, hey, Miles is posting about this ain't P. I don't know if you guys know what P means, but I had to learn about what P means from Gunna, a rapper here. Those are the things that, as a NBA head coach, you also have to factor in when it comes down to it. But I think Woody's done a nice job making that transition, and I wouldn't underestimate the importance of Thad Matta there. I really loved what IU did, setting him up to succeed with a guy that can tell you about scheduling, can tell you, about recruiting, how to handle it, when it's important for him to spend time doing that versus his assistants. And Dame 5 and the other assistants obviously helping a great ton with that as well.
I think a lot of us have kind of forgotten about Matta. He has a very quiet role. He's very, you barely see. He's not on the bench. He sits right adjacent to the bench on the scorer's table. But it just kind of feels like I saw him. It's like I have to keep reminding myself. Matta is a very large member of this program.
We did have a made three, by the way, so that is a breadstick.
But
hold on, I didn't even know about this. Is this Pizza X breadsticks going on for every three? Is that what we're doing?
Every three.
Every three.
And then we get a bite of pizza for every highlight player forced turnover.
I wish I knew this. I got downstairs, I got hot box pizza. Basically the same thing. Not quite, but basically. I could have helped out. But man, Iowa, you're right, has really been making a run here since I've joined, honestly.
Yeah, they're 3 of their last 3. But kind of talking about players and a little more about that transition, there's been a lot of talk about where Trace Jackson Davis could end up. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on, where he'll go in the draft potentially, and in more the long run, how he'll fit into that NBA game?
Yeah, making that transition's tough. I mean, we saw firsthand this week with the Celtics with Romeo Langford when he played the Pacers twice. And right now, a couple of years in, 3 years in, I want to say, and he's really not had an impact. Now, the first year was really kind of crossed out because of injuries. He spent some time with the G League and that type of thing. But he was a first-round pick. He gets that guaranteed money, but has not had an impact. Now, with Trace, realistically, after his first year, guys, I believe if not for the pandemic, he was gone. But where a guy like Trace would really benefit is not from the college season, because he's going to be used a little bit differently in the pros, I think, in terms of style. And so I think where he would really benefit was leading up to the draft. Got to make your free throws, though. But leading up to the draft, you have the pre-draft workouts. And I think that's where he could really make a strong impression with the front offices and such. And so during that pandemic, so that would have been 2020, there were no pre-draft workouts. So he missed out on that valuable time, and thus automatically, essentially, kind of came back. And then last year was kind of a wash. But that's where he can really make his opportunity. Because the trouble is defensively in particular, what is he? He's too slow to play the 3. Yeah. He probably could play the 4. He's not bulky enough to play the 5. And so I kind of see him as a tweener that I'm not quite sure where he would fit in just yet, but certainly not a lottery pick like a Romeo, not a sure thing. But I think through his pre-draft workouts could potentially earn his way into the late first round, which means guaranteed money.
Got another media timeout here. Iowa up 3 on Indiana. Kind of been on a run here. They're outscoring Indiana by 10 in the second half, 23-13. Should be interesting to see how Indiana closes this one out. Scott, I guess, one of my favorite things on NBA draft night is the player comps, because they will take a late first rounder and be like, he really, really reminds me of DeAndre Jordan. And it's just kind of like, the guy's not going to be DeAndre Jordan. Or it will be something ridiculous like,
let's throw Kevin Durant out there. He's the next Kevin Durant. It's like, no, not really. No.
Exactly. So I guess I want 2 from you. I want your ESPN draft night player comp for TJD and your actual player comp for TJD, if you don't mind.
Man, putting me on the spot. That's tough. Yeah, again, because he's kind of a misfit, right? Like, I don't know, quite honestly, where to shuffle him in the deck there in terms of that wing spot, because he hasn't shown enough consistently that he can knock down the three-pointer, which I think would be incredibly valuable and important. And I'd like to actually see him take that more with more opportunities and such. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's a good question. Who would it be in terms of, and this is the challenge with all of that, right? Is like, what is the automatic comp? I don't think there's a. You think of a small, skinny guy like a less productive Tayshaun Prince, because Prince is more of that shooter, right? But he's that skinny, frail type feeling type guy. But Trace is more productive, I think, would be in the interior, but not at the free throw line and 3-point shooting there. I wish I thought about this ahead of time. I'm trying to think. Anybody stand out to you guys while I'm thinking about it?
I got in trouble because I said one time, just like on a pure over a beer, I said, I kind of see some early first year out in the draft, some bonus qualities. It's not me saying TJD.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that.
I see similarities in the way they play, kind of. If TJD can get, maybe a little more agile and develop a jump shot, but then somebody's like, you realize the bonus is 7 foot. And it's just kind of like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, there's that. And more so, Domas is very physical. He loves being dominating in the post type thing. And Trace hadn't shown his excitement to do that. I think he's more of, I don't know, fragile is the word, but he likes less banging in the post type thing. Whereas Domas really embraces that. But officials don't know how to officiate that. That's the challenge.
Something, and this is purely because I grew up watching the Bulls and have watched them a lot recently.
A lot of fun right now,
kind of
Max.
comes to mind in terms of doesn't necessarily have an outside shot, but is just really efficient off the ball and then gets the ball down low and just kind of can do some work down in the post is Daniel Gafford. He's not a super high usage guy.
I really like that comparison.
But he's a guy who's going to get a lot of blocks on defense. And then if you set him up right at the NBA level, at least, if you set him up right, he can knock some layups down low.
It's also a guy we saw TJD play against, when he was still at Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly, I think this is the biggest challenge here is myself and others aren't quite sure how to judge him or how does his game translate at the next level. I think this is a perfect example of maybe why he's not there yet at this point is where does he defend? What kind of production level is he going to be able to have potentially on the offensive end? Because, at this level, he's able to dominate, especially we saw against the weak teams in the non-conference, right? Like they could just throw it in there and he would hammer it home. Like I've been to several games this year and we've seen that. But all right, now you're seeing him. You brought up DeAndre Jordan, for example, whose career is fading right now, but still he would outmuscle Trace Jackson Davis, a guy, let's say on the wing, like Paul George, like Kawhi Leonard, like Giannis. He wouldn't have a chance right now. He would just get bodied right away. So there would need to be a couple years of development. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe he's even a guy that signs a two-way deal and spends some time in the G League before developing into something more. But I have liked what I've seen. I like that layup right there, willing to take on the contact.
Yeah.
Is there anyone on this roster who you're like, maybe in 2 years' time? Because I don't think anyone's close yet, other than TJD, maybe. Is there anyone on this roster that you see and you're like, man, if they blossom, they might have pro potential, or is this just a TJD show?
No, for me, that's Tamar Bates. That's a guy that has already signed with an agency. I've talked with those agents, and they're really excited about his potential. But honestly, because of that hype preseason to me, he's been a disappointment. Like he's not in the game right now, and it's a critical point, right? And he hasn't proven an outside shot. He hasn't taken on the contact. So for me, I thought going into the season, maybe if he broke out, there's a chance he was gone after this year. Well, to me, there's no chance right now. Like he hasn't been productive, hasn't impressed me at all. So to me, Griff, that's the guy that stands out, Tamar Bates.
And I just wanted to ask you kind of about these later upperclassmen type guys, because they usually don't go super high in the draft lottery. But someone like Parker Stewart and Miller Kopp, there's not necessarily very much draft talk about them right now. But what's the value in the draft for some upperclassmen guys who aren't necessarily the biggest standouts, but provide consistency for teams and some spark, especially when you have like a 3-and-D upperclassman guy? What goes into that value, and how much does higher age kind of go into bringing their draft stock down?
Yeah, so we had the perfect example of that, I'd say, right, this past year with the Pacers in terms of Chris Duarte, right? He was 24, and the Pacers went after him because, look, he's already a proven commodity. You know what he would be able to contribute right away. And in doing so, I mean, there's been a few things that's gone on recently, most recently having a second child because you're a little older. But he's a guy that's able to come in right away. He's a guy the Pacers were able to take. And teams like Golden State, New York, were trying to trade up to get him. So while there is some points taken off, I would say, because of his age, which usually leads to less potential, on the other side of that, teams know what they're getting more so. It's not necessarily a sure thing, but there's more confidence, I would say, in a pick like that versus the guy right behind him, Moses Moody. And a lot of Pacer fans, for example, were really intrigued by him because of his potential, but he really hasn't done much this year. Jonathan Kuminga is kind of in that same boat. But in terms, I will say in the NBA, the most coveted position, you would say the most needed position would be point guard because that's kind of your coach on the floor. That's your leader. That's tough. But the most coveted position generally is the wing because what they can shoot, they can attack, maybe post up, but also more so is they can defend, and that's a position, for instance, the Pacers have really been lacking since Paul George. So I could see more so Parker Stewart. I don't know about you guys. I'm curious your opinion. So far for me, Miller Kopp's been a disappointment. I see him in games, and what I'm wanting to see is, I don't know, 7, 8+ 3-point attempts. That's why he's in there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that, and when he does shoot, they haven't gone down as often as I was expecting into this season.
For me, that's Miller Kopp. I mean, I just watched Miller Kopp, and it's like, this is the 3-and-D guy. You know, why is he? I mean, what has he got tonight? He's got 4 threes. I mean, like you said, I expect 6, 7, 8 out of him. Yeah. And he was one that I thought would be, you know, putting up, not rivaling Trace in the points leader, but definitely being in that second and third spot. And he just hasn't been. I think Tennessee is a guy you wanted more from. I think, you know, I still think this is an Indiana team that I said it from the beginning of the season. I think this is an Indiana team that when every single guy plays their best, that goes from Michael Dirk to Geronimo to Fennessy to Kopp to, and I would say the last guy on that list is Parker Stewart. If all those guys play at their absolute best level, guys like, you know, not Robert Johnson. Wow, that was a flashback.
Yeah, it was. Rojo over here.
If Pizza X, Xavier Johnson, and TJD and Race Thompson just do what they usually do, I think this team's a top 15 team. And that's a reach for where they're from now. But I just really think, you know, I think Dirk could be that valuable as a 7-foot body. I think Kopp can be a great shooter when he wants to be. And I would be curious to see what this team would look like at 150% rather than just 80, 90, which I think at their very best, we've seen them at 80, 90.
Yeah. I mean, I was at this Minnesota game this past Sunday. And I was specifically watching, for example, Miller Kopp, and I was like, if he's not out there shooting, what is he contributing? Because in that game, he really wasn't shooting and he wasn't making. Now tonight, as you said, he's knocked down 4 here, so it's a little bit more productive. But otherwise, I mean, there's a turnover. Like that's a challenge here late in the game. If he's not scoring, what is he adding? And I'm not sure what that is.
And terrible transition D there all around. Scott, I guess I think there's a lot of speculation. You know, I think Indiana crowd, when you go to an Indiana game and that you're just used to hearing the
Fran's fired up over here,
man. Fran's mad.
Yeah, Fran's angry again.
Give me a Fran injection.
Look out.
If we get a Fran injection, I'll eat the rest of the pizza.
What flavor you guys go with? What toppings did you guys go with?
Oh, Pizza X had a fan vote, and I think we got a bacon pepperoni. I thought it was sausage. I think it's bacon.
Yeah, it looks like bacon.
Yeah, it's bacon. So I've been very pleased. What's your ideal, like, if Scott, if you had to go like outside the box dipping sauce for pizza? Everyone goes the pizza sauce, the cheese sauce. What's your go-to that maybe is a surprise to others?
I mean, you start with the cheese sauce, right? The nacho cheese, I think. Outside of that, I'd go to the ranch. The ranch is really good. Mother Bear's really good ranch sauce as well. But I do like the ranch sauce when it comes to Pizza X. That was a really good one. But I think what it is, honestly, Griff, is if I'm doing the breadsticks, I want the cheese, but I want the Pizza X ranch sauce. If I'm like drizzling it on the slices.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I will say the one thing I've discovered my senior year of college that a roommate showed me that has absolutely changed my life for breadsticks forever is Alfredo sauce.
Whoa.
So it's a little up there in the calorie department, but it's.
Do you heat up the Alfredo sauce and then drizzle it, or how does that work?
No, I just dip the bread in the Alfredo.
Like
Give
cold
it a
off
try.
the shelf.
Huh?
Like just off the shelf Alfredo?
No. You get the Pizza X Alfredo sauce. Trust me.
I didn't know they had it. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, they have Alfredo sauce, and we're trying to think. We were talking about Pizza X specials that we could maybe make for the Hoosier Network. We were talking about Max a few minutes ago. Max had his first ever St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail sauce.
On a
breadstick.
bread glorious, Max. Love
That
it.
was
It was an interesting experience. I'll tell you that much.
He's a Chicago kid, so he's a little soft. But he's
All right, hey Max, which Chicago pizza is your go-to? I got mine.
Blue Malnati's.
Yep, facts.
That is the right one. We had Victor Becerra, Mac Herman Trophy runner up here on a little bit ago.
Okay.
He said Giordano's. Kids from Chicago.
No, it's Illuminati's. No, it's the crust. It's like the butter of the crust.
It's
so
the butter
good.
crust.
It's
the
so good.
separator right there. Gino's is solid. Gino, I've been there, and you get like a comedy show sometimes and get it with it. So that's secondary, but the pizzas, that's third tier compared to the other couple.
Real Chicagoans, I've heard say Pequods.
I've never heard of that.
Pequods. It's next time you go to a Bulls game, try it. It's a little bit on the north side. It's like the favorite of people who moved to Chicago post college.
Really?
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
I don't think I've heard of that either.
I have not
Pequod.
heard of that. That's where I'm most surprised at.
It's a mix of Chicago deep dish and Detroit with the caramelized crust.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
I mean, I'm all about pizza, so I'm willing to try anything. But
So I do have
Chicago-wise is
a
Illuminati.
quick question for you regarding this game. They just put a stat up on the screen about free throws. I believe it was free percentage. I was first in the Big Ten. IU is 12th. I mean, it feels like there are certain guys. I mean, it's not always automatic, but there are just so many guys in the NBA who I just feel like missed free throws are so much more rare at the professional level. Is it something about these guys have a different free throw like training regimen when they go to the pros, or is it just some of the best free throw shooters are going to the NBA? Like, what's the issue on IU with this free throw shooting that's seemed to in a few years?
Yeah, it's ongoing. It feels like, right?
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure, but I think probably generally speaking, it comes down to NBA is the best of the best across the world, not even just the United States. I mean, there's something like, I think last I saw was something like 30% of the league's foreign now. So that's a significant piece of the puzzle. So you're not only getting the best in the U.S. and coming from colleges, but there's so many players. Even, I mean, think about Dwight Howard or Shaq, some of the Hall of Famers that weren't great free throw shooters, and that's inexplainable when it comes down to it. But I think generally speaking, it's just you're getting better players going to the league. But IU's got to be better than that. 12th is not going to help you towards winning a Big Ten title, which is obviously the goal.
All right, Scott, I wasn't going to let you leave without answering a Pacer question.
Okay.
Well, what's going on? What's going on, man? What's going wrong? The roster.
How much time you got?
This is a team that's usually built for that 6th, 7th, 8th seed, and this year it's just what's going on from your point of view?
There's a lot. Let's start with number one. You haven't had player availability like you expected. There was full hope and expectation that TJ Warren would be available to start the season. Then you have your backup point guard, your spark plug, your energy, and TJ McConnell, backup point guard. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a huge spot, but he's out and out indefinitely right now. So that's a huge break. Malcolm Brogdon, you can chalk up to missing 20 games per year. All right, so there's your health. You've had COVID issues. But more than anything, Griff, here, I would say it's a poorly constructed roster, You got to move on from one of the bigs. It's long past time. We've seen it for 3-4 years now. Miles Turner, Domus, you got to make a decision. They're probably going to move on from Miles and Karis LeVert most likely over this next month. That's what those players individually, I can tell you, are hoping for personally. So now it's a matter of the Pacers going out, realizing this year's a lost season. It's all about the draft pick and looking ahead to this next year. So let's see what they're able to get accomplished in free agency. And before that, the trade deadline, which is coming up in less than a month.
So for the Pacers, for a team, I guess you're closer to it than we all are. It's a team that's not a definition of a free agent destination. I would say it's up there with maybe Utah with the top not destinations. I guess. Well, how do you go about getting guys in trades that Is it true that it's just the Pacers' only chance of winning is them drafting a great guy and just locking him in and hope he loves it here, or is it going to be you have to go build through a trade? What do you think it is?
First of all, that's a terrible turnover. Second of all, it's a matter of you're not going to be able to get guys in free agency. Therefore, the Pacers have to improve on their drafts. They've been awful in the drafts.
Yeah.
Here you go. Good bucket right there by X. But that's where they've really lacked outside of this year with Chris Duarte. But that was a lottery pick, so it's a little more obvious. In recent years, right? Like Goga, what is he right now? You're probably going to trade him, but we'll see. Aaron Holiday, you've already traded. TJ Leaf, he's over in China right now. Didn't pan out. So Pacers really have to hit their draft growth. And then on top of that, that's where they have to really be productive when it comes to free agency. Via trade. Right now at the trade deadline or in the summer, because in free agency, the best guy they've probably gotten in history is David West, who is a good pick, but he was coming off injury and picked the Pacers over the Celtics. But that's it. And if that's the depth of what you've been able to do free agency, it's not been a success.
Well, so I'm just kind of stunned, still thinking about this turnover, bringing it back to this game.
Awful, man.
Do they have a chance?
So first I need to ask Scott why, because you mentioned that was a bad turnover by Race Thompson. Why do they have Race Thompson up there with X trying to break the press?
That's what I'm watching. I just flipped it back. I see him taking it. I just wanted to see that for myself. And why not get up another ball handler in there?
He's not a ball handler. I don't.
Exactly.
I don't understand.
He literally passed it. I just watched it again. He passed it backwards. It was intercepted on the middle of the floor. That was just an awful play on his part. Why isn't X should have been back there with him rather than Race? I don't know what Woody was getting accomplished there.
And the one other thing I do want to bring up is previously this year, when IU has struggled breaking the press, they have brought in Christian Lander, and he's used his speed to kind of get ahead of the press and kind of get down past the timeline. So whatever they're doing right now isn't working.
They don't play Lander, though.
They don't, apparently, anymore. But IU's got 22 turnovers, and they're struggling to break the full court press. So they've got to do something. And Scott, you and I, we all talked about earlier, Mike Woodson is an NBA guy, and a lot of adjustments happen in the NBA. Mike Woodson's got to make some sort of adjustment here late in the game to try and crawl back in this one.
Yeah, I would agree. I will say the difference, though, in pros is, for instance, you don't really see, generally speaking, a lot of full court pressure. Usually they allow you to get it up half court, and then they kind of rather you get into your half court offense because a lot of teams aren't as productive there as they are in a free flowing, not calling a play, but just getting after it, getting downhill, getting to, their wing, and seeing if he could create over there playing one-on-one. So, that's got to be an adjustment made here because when you're down right now, the last thing you need to do is have to worry about bringing it up the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is tough.
Scott,
sorry, go ahead, Griff.
No, you're good. You're good. Finish.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, I jumped on, and I feel like I'm the bad luck here. I jumped on, and I feel like they were up a couple possessions, and now here they're trailing and not in a good spot here in closing time. So I'm sorry for the stint I provided for you.
Oh, I'm gonna make you Coach Agnes here to finish off. You're Mike Woodson. What do you want to see in the last 3.5 minutes here if you want this team to have a chance to win?
I think you live and die with Trace Jackson Davis. That's what this season seems to be about for me.
Yeah.
So You bring it up the court, you run some kind of action with him, either a pick and roll or you move it to the wing or into the corner and then try to get it to him in the low post and say, get after it. And if they send a double team, he can kick out, send it opposite wing. But if not, attack.
Well, it should be interesting to see if they do it. Scott, if there are any Pacer fans out there, where's the best place for them to see more of your stuff?
Yeah, at Scott Agnes on Twitter and Instagram. And then you can read all my writing at fieldhousefiles.com is where all my work is. Oh,
Awesome.
that's
Well,
tough. Bench points? I didn't realize that. That's tough. Oh, 43-14, guys.
Oh.
Not good, but a
Here
good
you go. Send
strong
it into
dunk
trace. Or that works too.
Well, Scott, I think you're the bad luck charm. So we're going to see what happens for 3 minutes if we get him off. We're going to just see what happens, but we'll let you know. Scott, always great to chat with you. And come back and see us sometime.
Fair enough. Congrats on doing this. This is really cool. And thanks for having me on, guys. All right.
See you,
Thanks
Scott.
so much.
All right. Bye.
All right. Scott Agnes joining the show. Great talking with him. Lots of Pacer stuff. All right. 3 minutes. Looks like we're maybe having a timeout here. After the timeout, we're going to bring in our final guest.
You know what I think we need to do? Let's bring in our final guest, and then we need to have a breadstick or a slice of pizza to turn it around.
Should we bring in our breadstick and our guest?
Breadstick and guest.
Breadstick and guest. Hello,
Breadstick.
hello,
Hi.
guest.
This
Hi,
is
guest.
clear if I don't get a breadstick.
Can I throw one and will it go through the camera?
She does.
If I
Yeah,
throw
we're
a
gonna
breadstick.
feed Grace.
Grace, ready?
Grace, get ready.
1, 2, 3. Did
I-
it work?
No, but I'm like 2 blocks away, Griff.
Oakley's gonna pick it up for
Oakley's
us.
gonna
So
pick
we're
up.
good.
I'm gonna eat it because I'm hungry still.
You gotta think Alan's watching at home, loving that we're throwing
Throwing
breadsticks at his cameras.
Grace, are they getting through or no?
You know what? I was sitting here thinking that same question to myself. And this is entirely basketball's a game of runs, but this game has been like that to the greatest extent to where it's a game of runs and the other team is simply like not scoring at all. So I maybe with that race dunk, if they can stop them here on this possession, they didn't stop them there on that possession. So maybe my point is not valid anymore. But you're gonna have to get something going. Being down 10, 2.5 minutes to go is not gonna make it work. So I guess
Great
no.
passing. Here. Sorry to interrupt you, Grace.
No, you're fine. I don't know if X shooting that 3 is who you really want there.
You know, it might not be what anyone else wanted, but it's what Xavier wanted, which is a majority
You
of
mean
the shot.
pizza? You mean
Bothered
pizza?
by his
exit.
hit.
Pizza Xavier, yes. But Grace, I guess we've kind of badgered this introduction to you. I guess talk to us about who you are and what you do, and about some of your work with covering Indiana basketball.
So I just had to talk badly about X right there, and then he did that to prove me wrong. My name's Grace. I think Griffin's frozen. No, you're not frozen anymore. It was just funny because you were taking a bite of your pizza and it stopped for a second mid-bite. I am a senior at the media school, working for Inside the Hall this year. Set to graduate in May, but second year covering this team, and yeah, it's been really fun. Would like to see them win on the road this season. Not sure if that's going to happen tonight. Not with free throws like that.
So, Grace, as it is, you write about Indiana basketball. Mm-hmm. If I'm mistaken, you are one of, if not the only woman covering Indiana basketball. Talk to me about just, the respect I have for you. We've talked about it. Just talk to me about the dynamic of that and just how challenging or beneficial it has been for you being in a room with a bunch of men, most of them double or if not triple your age, and just working alongside them. And no offense to the beat writers, love them all, they know that. But just talk to me about the atmosphere of that and the challenges that come with that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because the media school has so many opportunities for students to get involved, and a lot of those are, sports where other like professional media aren't covering it to the extent that the students are, with the exception of that being like football and men's basketball. And being one of the only women, I think I might be the only woman that's there, on a consistent basis, is really tricky because a really good example of how it is in the real world. I think the media school is incredible with just diversity in general in sports. Great shot by Trey there.
Breadstick.
Up to you, Grace.
But it's really interesting to get out of that media school bubble and see how it is in the real world. And it's not always the nicest, but it's been cool to make my way through all of it and make a name for myself and get people to respect my work and all of that. So it's been challenging nonetheless, but super rewarding.
What has been your favorite part at this year and just kind of throughout your IU career? I mean, before I was in the sports media program, I first kind of saw you on Twitter as a sideline reporter, and I think the first time I saw you on Twitter was when you shared something of you doing this as a child. So it's obviously been a long road for you. What's been some of your favorite parts on the way?
Well, I started doing this when I was like 10. So it's been over a decade in the making. And I kind of discovered I liked it. I was a little Sports Illustrated Kids reporter when I was 13. So if anybody was subscribed to SI Kids back then, you probably saw my work, maybe a little tiny picture of me next to Michelle Obama in the July 2013 edition. So I guess that was a fun part along the way. But everything I've gotten to do in college, all the sideline reporting, it's been awesome. It's really what I want to do, end game.
So, Grace, walk me through what you're seeing right now from this Indiana team. Closing minutes, 6-point game, defensively just kind of falling apart in this game compared to what we've seen in the past few weeks.
I'm seeing a team that doesn't know how to win a basketball game or close out a basketball game. Very reminiscent of what we saw last year, although not at Iowa, because for some reason at Iowa they were fine. But a team with veterans like Rob and Trace that are struggling down the stretch, and it's not something that you expect from guys that have been around this program this long to make those silly turnovers or split those free throws, and it's not what you need to win a game on the road, win your first game on the road. But it's clear that these are some errors and tricky things they need to get past from what was taught to them over the last 3 years. And I think Woodson's got a lot to teach them about winning.
So how do you teach that, Grace, and just your perspective and your opinion? It's because we say teach winning, but when you think about it, that's a pretty hard term to nail down.
Yeah, I think, at least in this case, Indiana's clearly beating themselves. So teach how to be calm and to teach how to act like you've been there before, even if you haven't. And I don't know how to teach that. I'm not a basketball coach. I played basketball, but I don't know what he has to do to instill that. But that's what he needs to do is, even though they haven't been in these situations before and don't know how to win in these situations yet, they need to act like it because they're beating themselves in this moment by turning the ball over, making, missing free throws, not getting those boards. They're their own worst enemy. 23 turnovers it just said on the screen against 12 Iowa turnovers. 33 points off of turnovers for Iowa.
I mean, and this kind of happened in Syracuse, and when producer Jack and I were there, kind of talked about how are they supposed to win a game if they're turning the ball over 20 plus times. And I think that's going to come with just experience and a bit more discipline when you're controlling the ball. But I mean, when your team can't score down the stretch and you're turning the ball over that much, where do you look?
Yeah, I don't know. What's crazy to me has been most of these turnovers have been unforced. They're just throwing the ball away or panicking. Iowa's defense is not menacing in any way. And you see with the press, they panic and turn the ball over. They're not doing anything special. I just don't think Indiana knows how to calm down yet in these situations. They don't know how to play with the lead. They don't know how to take care of the ball down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting in terms of lineups.
Yeah.
Well, when Trey Galloway was, go ahead.
No, that's been confusing. I think Rob's had a nice last 2 games, not stellar by any means, but I don't know why he's been in the game as much as he has when he's not hitting shots, making bad passes. I don't know. The whole point guard play tonight has been really disappointing.
I think what's amazing to me, if you would have told me pregame that IU was going to shoot nearly 51% tonight, like out on the road against Iowa, knowing this team defensively, I tell you they win. But Iowa shot 44% and got 83 points up on the board. They're going to dribble it out now. I mean, this is an Indiana team that defensively, I think this goes up to their worst game, with Syracuse defensively, it's their worst game of the year defensively. And then offensively, 14 second-half turnovers. That's just a recipe for disaster. Grace, I guess for you, when you look at – you're obviously a writer. You're getting ready to write your game story, so we'll let you go shortly here. What is the game story from this one as Indiana falls to Iowa 83-74 final?
I think a lot about learning how to win, and that's not just learning. I think learning how to win on the road, which is really interesting because you don't have all of those not training wheels, but down the stretch you have your crowd at Assembly Hall. Here in Iowa City, you're not going to have that. And then when you get flustered and frustrated and you make those bad passes and then you can't make a free throw because you have the away crowd, I mean, just how to be more disciplined, not make those mistakes, get those rebounds. And the game story here is the collapse, I think.
Yeah. Which too often are not, 4 losses this year. It has been the story of those 4 losses. It's been the collapse against Wisconsin. It was a collapse against Syracuse late. It was a collapse against Iowa tonight. And it's just once again, a reason this team is just struggling to get to that next level. And I think, I still think this is a team that could get there eventually. I think this is going to be a team that we're going to see the best version of them in March. But like you said, Grace, you said it well. You don't have that Assembly Hall backing.
No, the common denominator is on the road. And it's not like they haven't been in these games. They've had leads. They had at one point a 22-point lead against Wisconsin, and they can't close it out. They don't know how to win.
They do not know how to win, and that's been tough to watch all season long, and maybe they'll figure it out. 7 of 22 from 3 tonight. That's 7 breadsticks we ate. That was delicious.
That was delicious.
It was delicious.
I'm jealous.
Well, Grace, we know you have to go and write your game story. I guess for you, kind of what's next for this Indiana team? Where can they rebound and where can they rally?
Well, they don't have the easiest rally because they've going Purdue coming to Assembly Hall next week. But figure out how they can recoup after this. And, they're going to be back in front of a home crowd. I don't know if they'll be able to pull that out. But if you're going to try to knock off what I think top 3, no, not top 3 anymore. I think they're number 7 in the country now. You can't miss free throws. You can't turn over the ball unforced. You have to get those offensive boards. You have to get those defensive boards and clean up all those little things to have a shot against Purdue. But yeah, what's next for them is a little bit daunting.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that was close. That was a close one.
Good save there.
I know we're online, but that was close. Grace, great talking to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on, Grace.
Hope you guys enjoyed your breadsticks.
Yes.
That's Grace Ibarra from Inside the Hall joining us. We appreciate her. And we have one more trivia question. This is a deep one. This was rewarding all y'all for staying along this entire broadcast. This is a tough one. Indiana played 2 sets of brothers tonight against Iowa. We know Iowa's have had a lot of brothers play for them. But Indiana at one point in their history had not 1, but 2 All-American brothers playing on the team at the same time. Who were those 2 brothers? What was their name? Tweet at the HoosierNet with your response, and you have a chance to win a $25 gift card to Pizza X. So the question, what 2 brothers, both were All-Americans during their time at IU together? Which 2 brothers?
And if you get it right.
And might I add, we did use their name very early in tonight's broadcast. So I
forgot.
It pays, literally, it pays to stay tuned. Max, final thoughts before we close this thing out.
Well, I'm still a little shell-shocked about, well, I shouldn't be shocked, but
Still eating pizza?
I am. And that's my key to the game, because I'm just kind of confused once again by Indiana's late game management. I'm kind of bringing up the ball and press. So my key to the game was this pizza. I wouldn't have made it through. I am not being paid to say that. That came from my own head, all by myself. I made that all by myself. This pizza and the breadsticks were the key to the game because I didn't eat anything today.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have made it through the game without it.
I only had rice and turkey, so this was fantastic.
Rice and turkey.
And a banana.
And a banana. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, hey, we want to give a huge shout out to the team at Pizza X for delivering this awesome meal tonight and all the pizzas they delivered to us in our time at Indiana University. We thank them for sponsoring us tonight. We hope to partner with them again soon and deliver more content like we did tonight. I guess you could say, fun. Yeah, thank you. I worked really hard on that.
I can tell.
I guess you could say this whole broadcast was excellent. Right? And excellent. Okay, we're gonna wrap up this show because Indiana lost.
This show.
Producer Jack liked that one. That's the only approval I need.
I was trying to think of a pun and it didn't work. So I'll just go back. It didn't work in my head.
Excellent. This was an excellent show. Pizza excellent.
Pizza excellent.
Well, hey, we thank you guys too for watching us all night long. We're going to have another one of these later on in the year. Stay tuned to the Hoosier Net with all the updates, game stories, and more game coverage to come tonight from the Hoosier Net. Stay tuned to us on Twitter and Instagram for the latest updates. From Max Rezick, T. Winkle, I'm Griffin Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us for yet another HN Watch Party. See you later on in the season.